And good evening once again, everyone. Back in Atlanta at the Omni, Gil Santos and Bob Cousy. A sellout crowd on hand. It was the earliest sellout for this game in Atlanta Hawks history, and it will be the biggest crowd they've ever had, topping the sellout they had against the Celtics a year ago. They've got more seats in here now, so they'll have more people in here. As we look at these two clubs, the Celtics 29-8, averaging 113 points a game. The Celtics winning their games by a point differential of 7.5 per game. The Hawks averaging 106 per ball game. Their opponents 105, and they're winning theirs by an average of 1 point per game. Field goal percentages, Celtics with 50% from the floor, the Hawks with 48. Celtics a big edge in free throw shooting, Coos. Atlanta has taken more attempts than their opponents, but they're only shooting 71% from the floor. The Celtics are shooting 79.5%. If the Hawks are playing as well as everybody says they are, and the record shows it, and if they play as well as they do tonight, they could end up losing the thing on free throws with the way they shoot them.
Believe it or not, most of the statistics dealing with these two teams are fairly close to each other. It certainly doesn't reflect the difference in wins and losses, with the exception of the free throws. And so we've often said, you know, with so many close games in this league, how critical a factor this can be if you're simply not shooting. They're the next to last team. New York is the weakest team at, I think, 67%. These guys are at 71%. And the difference, they both shot about the same number of free throws in their 4 games against each other. But they've shot it at 68%. We've shot it at 85%, a difference of 18 points. Now, 18 points over the span of 4 games has obviously made the difference, so it is a critical factor.
The Celtics, in the 4 games against the Hawks, have scored 440 points. The Hawks have scored 420. So there's the difference. Otherwise, it'd be 4 games and a 2-point difference. Celtics averaging 110 to 105 over Atlanta in 4 games this season. The Celtics have won all 4 previous games. Rebounding, the Celtics with an edge of about 1.5 rebounds per game. And in block shots, the Celtics have a big edge there. Turnovers, Atlanta's turning the ball over 19 times a ball game, 19 plus. The Celtics 17 times, so that could make a difference as well. Right now introducing the starting lineup for the Atlanta Hawks. Doc Rivers, Kevin Willis, Tree Rollins, Randy Whitman, and Dominique Wilkins. And Wilkins is having an all-star kind of a season. 27 points per ball game, 8.5 rebounds a game. He's up to 2.5 assists, which is a lot more than he used to have. And has come up with 70 steals as well. He's playing some pretty good defense and is really playing very well for the Hawks. His high point total of the season, 49. That came in a win over the Houston Rockets earlier this season. Our officials for tonight's game are Joe Crawford and Terry Durham. There's Durham on your left and Joe Crawford on your right. There was some question, Coos, as to whether or not Kevin McHale would be starting tonight. He's bothered by that tender Achilles tendon, but he was having lunch this afternoon with Kevin, and he said that it was stiff on him after the ball game and at halftime yesterday, but once he started warming up, it became all right, and he was hoping that would happen tonight, and obviously it has.
Well, you know, unlike last night where he had a distinct size and strength advantage over whoever tried to guard him, this is not the case tonight. This kid Willis, who they tell me is playing much, much better lately, is not only Kevin's size, but a bit taller, and I'll tell you what, he's probably as strong. So if Kevin is a little, you know, subpar, this could have an effect and obviously be an advantage for Willis.
I like Willis. He's 7 feet tall, he's 235 pounds, and he's very, very tough. All right, Atlanta controlling the opening tip, and this is the guy, Doc Rivers, that Coos was talking about at the top of the show. And what a great job he has done since coming off the injured list. He works it to Randy Whitman, who's a good shooter, baseline 2 for Whitman, and the Hawks lead.
Stay tuned. We're going to have our hands full tonight.
I do believe you're correct.
These guys are ready. That's all we've heard all day long from the entire organization. The importance of this game and how hard they're going to work.
Bird winds up and hits a 3-point shot. The Celtics lead it by a score of 3. No, they only give him 2. Had a foot just inside the line, apparently. Now they put the 3 up there. Okay. It is a 3-2, or was a 3-2 lead. Now it's 4-3. Atlanta has gone back on top, of course, off that hoop. But give Bird a 3-point shot. First, Crawford signaled for a 3, and then only put 2 up on the board. Bird behind the back on Wilkins. Finds Johnson cutting through, but the pass is slapped away, and here comes Randy Whitman for Atlanta all the way. Misses the shot. McHale the rebound. Celtics down 4-3 in the early going. We have played a minute here at the Omni. Finds Dennis Johnson deep in the left-hand corner, and they've got Willis on him on the switch. That means Doc Rivers is on McHale. Bird Turns, has the shot blocked by Tree Rollins, who picks it up, gets it to Rivers.
I'll tell you, Rollins won't beat you with offense, but he can be an awfully strong factor on the board and in terms of blocking shots and closing up that middle on you.
Bird is left wide open. His second three-point hoop of the ball game.
Wow.
Celtics lead at 6-4 off a pair of Bird three-point shots. Doc Rivers chases down the loose ball at the other end for Atlanta.
Rather impressive start by Mr. Bird, and certainly a neutralizer for all the enthusiasm we've got going here tonight.
Whitman off the pick, comes up a little short, Bird the rebound. Celtics getting good rebounding position off that defensive board so far. Atlanta's not had a chance for a second shot.
Whitman is an excellent shooter, but is going to have a little trouble with the matchup with DJ. DJ really did a number on him in Boston a week ago. McHale doesn't quite knock down that little 15-foot fall away. We haven't seen him go to that shot very much anymore. He's had such an easy time creating layups.
Great penetration by Doc Rivers. Ties the game at 6.
Yeah, that's Rivers, and that's what Casey's got to be concerned about. I think you're going to see him denying Rivers as much as possible. He likes to do that to a point guard. With this guy in particular, it's very important. Keep the ball out of his hands.
Alert play by Ainge. Bird hooks it into Parrish to McHale cutting. Parrish going for the tip-in, gets the hands on it, puts it down. Good offensive rebounding by the Celtics as they had a couple of shots at it.
Good ball movement by Parrish and McHale there, and then another good job keeping it alive long enough for Roberts to create that little jumper for himself.
Atlanta is slowing the pace of this game down, Coos, every trip down early on.
Well, we've talked about it enough, but that's what I would do against the Celtics. Run when necessary, but give them a change of pace. Don't do the same thing every time.
Wilkins did everything but put the ball down. It's out of bounds off the Celtics.
And I'd also, believe it or not, give Wilkins his 30 points. Don't give him 40 or 50, but give him 30. If he's getting his 30 and taking a number of shots, generally he has to take to achieve that, it's going to disrupt the continuity of their half-court offense.
On the season, Dominique Wilkins has taken 500 more shots than the next closest Atlanta Hawk, and in fact has taken 26.5% of their shots this season. That's a phenomenal amount. Whistle in the first foul of the game. It's going to Robert Parrish.
Very difficult to run a cohesive half-court offense when your superstar is undisciplined and shoots at the slightest provocation, because the other four guys eventually say, what's the sense of running our plays? They never come to fruition because, you know, no matter how effective he is and how much talent and skill, you've got to go with the unit. You got to try to at least do what the coach wants you to attempt to do. Rivers from outside, so he's penetrated once and he's hit from outside. Kid is tough.
Rivers averaging 14 points a ball game and 8 assists as well, so he's a complete all-around point guard. Here's Bird. Wilkins is on him, comes around the Parrish pick, finds Parrish on the pick and roll, blocked by Tree Rollins, but count the hoop.
See, that's
he blocked it against the glass.
That's what we were talking about last night. Now, that time he trapped it momentarily. In other words, the three elements have to be there to hand the ball on the backboard, you know, for a split second. Remember that play last night? I thought he just blocked it against the backboard. The backboard was never present with the hand on the ball.
All right, the Celtics are leading it 10-8. We have just under 8 minutes to play in the first quarter. Willis finding Doc Rivers. Now this is Whitman coming through, double pump, and he gets it to fall. He's an excellent shooter, and he'll get that shooter's bounce.
I started to say he's got his hands full. Well, now they've got him on Ainge. That's a little. I think he can do maybe a little better job on Danny, despite the speed differential.
All right, Parrish with Willis on him. Now they've got Rollins on McHale low. Kevin wheels in for the hook, and he does not get the shooter's bounce. The rebound goes to Willis. Bird tries to save it. It goes to Rollins, and here comes Dominique Wilkins. Should be a show.
Dennis wisely just stepped away, you know, other than trying to step in on that play, and he's got such great body control and balance. That probably wouldn't have worked either, so he just got out of the way and said, Wilkins, why don't you grab 2 of these 20-33 you're probably going to get.
Bird is now 3 for 3, and the Celtics have tied the game at 12. Larry has 8 points. Dominique from downtown. Deep rebound goes to Danny Ainge. He pushes it up quickly. Celtics are 3 on 3. Danny has the ball slapped away, but gets it back. Now Bird, three-pointer again. Not this time. McHale will rebound. Nice pass to Dennis Johnson. Reverse layup for 2. Beautifully done.
Nice movement by Dennis, anticipating the pressure from the big man. Took it across the basket and a little over-the-head job.
Atlanta coming away with 0 second shot so far. Bird tried to get the fastball into Parrish. Boston defense. Wilkins back for Atlanta. Look at that. Oh, I tell you, he's just so spectacular at times. Dominique Wilkins ties the game at 14.
That will get the crowd's attention. Bird trying to do too much, by the way.
He did it again there.
Yeah.
Whitman kicking it off and a whistle and foul.
Yeah, he's getting careless with his passing, simply, as I say, trying to make plays that are too difficult at this point in the game.
Time out on the floor with 6:04 to play in the first quarter. We're dead even at 14. Talk to Kuz. That's but the bikes weren't open. Atlanta's playing a very disciplined game.
Yeah,
very disciplined.
Yeah, other than Dominique took that wild one out from
jump
outside
shot,
a moment ago. That was about it.
Yeah. This program is authorized under telecasting rights granted by the Boston Celtics solely for the entertainment of our audience, and any publication, rebroadcast, or other use of the pictures, descriptions, and accounts of this game without the express written consent of the Boston Celtics and WLVI-TV is prohibited. We're tied at 14 here. The Celtics are 6 for 14 from the floor. The Hawks 7 of 13. The rebounding, 10-3 Boston edge in rebounding. We knew Atlanta wasn't getting any second shots. I did not think it was a 10-3 spread, Coos.
Robert and
McHale
have done a nice job in the early going here, and a lot of it is off the offensive board.
One more shot coming for Dominique Wilkins. That was the second Celtics team foul, by the way. It was on Dennis Johnson. Atlanta takes the lead at 16-14. Danny Ainge for the Celtics. Neither team has made a substitution yet. We're in the first quarter. Just under 6 minutes. Bird trying to go on Dominique. Whips it inside to Parrish. Nice up fake by Robert, and he was fouled on top of the head by Tree Rollins. 2 shots coming for Robert Parrish. There's Tree Rollins. Rollins with 74 blocked shots coming into this game, and he is a very dangerous man in there defensively. Offensively, it's like he doesn't exist, because
he's had a lot of trouble with injuries. I'm not sure that that's completely fair in that, again, for some of the reasons we talked about earlier, and specifically Dominique and his domination of the offense, I'm not sure they look for him very often, to tell you the truth. You know what I'm saying? He's not the greatest shooter, but I'll tell you, when you're that tall and you're that close, he's developed some inside moves. He should be giving you 10, 12, 14 points a game if he gets a lot of playing time.
Dominique to the basket.
Wow.
Atlanta by 4 points, 18-14. Bird backs with the Celtics. Got Whitman on him, now Ainge. Again, Bird gets Willis in the air, floats in, and banks it home. 10 points for Larry Bird in the ball game. Well, I tell you, is he back in a flow? Here comes Willis, and Bird with a great play defensively.
Outstanding. Great pursuit, getting back to involve himself into the play, and in the quick hands. Here it is. Bird coming back quickly, anticipating his move in the middle. You see him stop to take a jump shot. If he had just taken a step and gone up, Bird wouldn't have gotten in there.
Atlanta leads it by 4 points now, 20-14, with 5:10 left in the first quarter.
Was that Dominique again?
That was Willis. I have a foul here on Atlanta's Doc Rivers.
I'll tell you that.
No, they give it on Willis. They give it to Willis.
That quick move on by Bird there a moment ago reminds me of a quote I saw. I guess attributed to Dominique earlier in in the week saying he likes his matchup and his rivalry with Bird. It turns him on. He said Bird may not be the quickest guy in the league, but he sure can shoot tighter. I'll tell you what, if Bird traditionally is in the top 10 walking violation, goes over to Atlanta. Traditionally, as he is now, I think he's 9th in the league in steals. He's the only forward in the top 10 in steals, and you don't do that by not being quick. I don't know. Maybe he's not sure which number Bird is. Maybe he's been guarding someone else, thinks he's not quick. However,
I'm outside.
In the meantime, Dominique is putting on a nice show.
Celtics, by the way, have turned the ball over 5 times now in the first quarter. And now number 6. As Rivers got it, and the foul is called on Danny Ainge.
That's got to be, are they going to call a breakaway foul? Or?
No, I don't think so.
What are they? Oh, they're only calling one. Very intelligent foul by
in the backcourt, that's why.
Yeah, absolutely. See, Bird, there it is. He obviously not only tries to delay, but just deliberately grab, and they saved themselves 2 points. Good foul.
That is the 3rd team foul against the Celtics, and they've now turned the ball over 6 times. Here comes Wilkins.
Is he active? Is he active?
Wow. He's got the hot hand right now, and Atlanta has run in 8 unanswered points to lead the Celtics 24-16. 14 points for Wilkins. Timeout called by the Celtics, and wisely, as the Hawks have ripped off 8 straight. 4:08 to play in the first quarter at the Omni. A sellout, and the Hawks lead it 24-16. Celtics are being very careless with the ball.
Yeah, they figure that they're also not really digging in defensively.
Boogie. Get you laughing Monday night on Channel 56 at 7. Benson sings the blues when Krause is the talent on a telethon he's hosting. And at 7:30, Elaine tries to impress an old friend on Taxi. Don't miss the fun on 56. All right, Bill Walton at center for the Celtics came in a couple of moments ago, so that's the only Boston change. Atlanta with no changes yet. The Hawks are shooting 11 of 17. That's 65%. Celtics still out rebounding them 11-3.
Wilkins has put on a show, but I'll tell you what, Celtics defensive intensity has been somewhat lacking. They're just running and shooting with them and not digging in and trying to stop the shot. Obviously, they're going to have to pick that up, especially with the Hawks going the way they are.
Another Celtic turnover, the 7th of the game. Rivers dumping it off to Wilkins. And it's a 10-point Atlanta lead as they've run 10 in a row on the Celtics. 26-16 right now. The Hawks are flying high at this early stage of the first quarter. They go low to McHale. Got Rollins on him tough. Eliakouz, this is a tough matchup for Kevin tonight.
Good idea. We were anticipating Willis guarding McHale. He's gone with Parrish, and I'll tell you, it's been somewhat effective. Kevin yet to get on the board.
Scott Wedman is in for the Celtics, replacing Larry Bird. John Koncak is in for Atlanta, replacing Tree Rollins.
And again, he goes with the center contact on McHale. So a little different strategy than we've been used to seeing on Kevin McHale, playing the center on him instead of the power forward. So far, it's very effective.
Walton kicks it off to Wedman, baseline jumper, and Scotty, who hit 6 out of 7 last night, buries his first one tonight to break Atlanta's 10-0 streak. Rivers back. got himself in the air, lost control, and Danny Ainge comes up with a basketball. Got Wedman ahead of the pack. Reverse. 2.
Beautiful. Good decision on the part of Wedman. I don't think he'd have gotten it up on a strong side. He cut across the hoop, took it with his left hand. They were moving on him, in on him very quickly there. Nice job.
So the Celtics knock off a couple of hoops in a row to get back to within 6 at 26-20. 2:52 left first quarter. Konkak, and now this is Dominique Wilkins. Dominique so far with 14 points in the ballgame. Rivers from downtown, perhaps beyond his range. McHale with a rebound. His 4th rebound of the contest. Ahead to Ainge. Danny looking low, nobody there. So he waits patiently for the rest of the troops to get up the floor. And I've got Konkak and McHale now. Let's see if Kevin can do anything with him. Nice up fake, nice move. Doesn't get the basket. Gets his own rebound, but it's off his head.
He got it all done, but put it in the hole. Rookie didn't do a bad job in that he stayed home. He didn't go for Kevin's fakes, and Kevin eventually created a shot, but he gave him enough pressure where, it is now all of a sudden it's become difficult for Kevin tonight. This is something that he hasn't been faced with in recent memory, I don't think. So maybe that's working on his mind a little bit, too.
From the corner, Whitman hits 2 for Atlanta. Wilkins has gone out with Rivers now. Eddie Johnson and Antoine Carr have replaced those 2 for the Hawks.
Celtics continue to play token defense, by the way. They're simply giving Atlanta the shots. They're there, but they're not really putting on a lot of defensive pressure. And unless they dig in, the way Atlanta's playing at the moment, they can get blown out of here tonight.
All right, Whitman off the pick. Looking for Konkak low. Instead comes outside to Antoine Carr. He's a big, strong 6'9" kid. McHale blocks Willis' shot. Willis gets another one. First offensive rebound of the night for Atlanta. Antoine Carr puts it back down. And the Hawks lead by 10, 30-20.
I'll tell you, old Carr and Willis, with their back to the baskets, have difficulty creating a shot. But what you must do with both of these big guys, McHale gets his first one, is keep them off the offensive board. And Antoine Carr just demonstrated why there a moment ago.
All right, Eddie Johnson for the Atlanta Hawks. He gets it low to Carr, but they double up on him, Wedman and Walton. And he throws it away. Boston ball on the Atlanta turnover. Jerry Seestein coming in for the Celtics with Cliff Levingston coming in for Atlanta. So we'll reset the 2 clubs for you now. The Celtics will have Seestein and Ainge at the guards, Walton at center, McHale and Wedman the forwards. Atlanta with Spud Webb and Eddie Johnson at the guards, Konkak at center, Levingston and Carr are the forwards. Wedman's hot. First shot he's missed tonight. McHale after the rebound. Got a foul against the Celtics on Kevin McHale, loose ball foul. It is the 4th Celtics foul of the first quarter. That is the limit with 48 seconds left.
We'll be talking, by the way, with Spud Webb at halftime, asking him how he liked that standing O he got at the Boston Garden a week or so ago. That hasn't happened too often. We respond to good play, but we save our standing O's usually for the good guys.
Nice power move by Antoine Carr and hold everything. Cliff Levingston, rather. Joe Crawford is going to reset a clock. All right.
Levingston, by the way, fits into that description we just gave relating to Antoine Carr and Willis.
Yeah. Big, strong, and willing.
He made a fairly nice move there, but he won't kill you with creativity on his offensive moves, but he is really strong on that offensive board.
Ainge works it to McHale, who powers inside for the jump hook. Basket counts, and he's fouled. Nice job by Kevin that time.
Kevin's starting to have to work a little harder, as you can see, to create the opportunities for himself, but he's kind of going to work now. And you see, he didn't let him get in there. Now, for instance, last night, he wasn't even settling for a 12-footer. He was taking that drop step to the basket, or else that little spin away. He was getting closer shots. Konkak and Rollins have made him work harder, and now he's starting to find the range, hopefully.
8 seconds left to play in the first quarter. The Celtics trailing it 32-25. Here comes Spud Webb, all 5'7", and he hits at the buzzer. Well, how do you like that? Spud Webb at the buzzer. Takes it into the paint and hits over the big guys. And so at the end of the first quarter, at the Omni in Atlanta, it is the Hawks 34 and the Celtics 25. I don't think Atlanta can continue that kind of a shooting pace, though.
Yeah, but
they're shooting brilliantly.
Not defense.
No, they're going to have to knuckle down.
For lunch. Turnovers, very careless. Good.
All right.
Let the Hawks take you to court from now until the end of an exciting Hawks season. Miles Davis of Marietta is tonight. Make that Miles Brett is tonight's contestant in the Easy Rental TV 3-point shot for a 13-inch remote control color TV. Good luck, Miles.
Home a cigarette from Johnny for me, please. Oh, you got some? Oh, yeah, fine. Thanks. That's what I want. 64%.
8 turnovers.
Here's that Spud Webb hoop, Coos. 5'7", smallest guy in the league.
As soon as Casey saw them go to isolation on Webb, he jumped up and screamed, double, double, double. And you see they doubled and even tripled. Kevin was coming over. Still couldn't stop the rookie.
So Atlanta has a 9-point lead as we start the second quarter. Wedman on the baseline, hits his third hoop of the ball game, and it's 34-27. The Hawks shot 64% in the first quarter. Nice dish off by Webb, but the shot is missed. However, Atlanta's Carr flashing the board, and he puts it in.
I'll tell you, he is an animal on that offensive board. You've got to keep him off. Along with Livingston, these guys are very effective in chasing their own shots. Wedman gets it blocked.
Walton got it back to Seestein, straightaway bomb. No. The rebound goes to Cliff Livingston. Here comes Eddie Johnson. Atlanta leads by 9. They still lead by 9. That one went everything but through the net. Rebound off to Scott Wedman and now Jerry Seestein for the Celtics as they trail by 9. Atlanta shot 16 of 25 in the first quarter. 3-pointer for Wedman, no. Rebound Concat. Here comes Eddie Johnson. Ahead to Antoine Carr. The miss and the rebound to Bill Walton. Into the hands of McHale, off to Danny Ainge. Celtics very careless with the basketball in the first quarter, and now in the second quarter, they're taking the first shot that shows, Coop. They're not playing smart basketball.
They're just going with the flow. They haven't played, they haven't dug in defensively at all. Atlanta has exploited this, and you're right, they've been careless with the ball. They've thrown it away 9 times in the first quarter. And Atlanta has taken advantage of this, too. So they're going to have to dig in defensively. They're going to have to tighten up on the offense pretty quickly.
Now they start moving it around a little bit. Atlanta has an 11-point lead. McHale swoops in. Misses the shot. Celtics so far have hit nothing practically in this quarter. Driving slam for Cliff Livingston. He's got 6 points off the bench for the Hawks, and KC needs a timeout. It is a 20-second timeout, however. A 20-second timeout called by the Celtics. Well, Atlanta has piled into a 14-point lead, mon ami.
I'm not sure that when Webb gets in that game, you know, we're talking about with Casey on top about teams running with the Celtics and whether they should slow down. I'm not sure that I wouldn't consider a little ball control when Webb gets into the game rather than letting him establish a tempo and create momentum. You know what I'm saying? Because he pushes it up at you so quickly. That might be a good time to throw a little change of pace at Atlanta when he gets in there. Frustrate them a little bit because they want to run without question when he gets in there. You know, throw their timing off just a bit. I don't know that wouldn't be a good idea.
There are the first quarter shooting statistics. Atlanta a smoking hot 64%. For the second 10 minutes to go in the second quarter. The Hawks have outscored the Celtics on a 6-2 burst to go from a 9-point lead to a 13-point edge. Bird back in for the Celtics. He's in replacing McHale. Walton now ceasing for the Celts. Finds Bird. Larry had 10 points in the first quarter, and a whistle and a foul is called on Atlanta's Antoine Carr. That is the first team foul in the Hawks.
You can always tell when a team is hopped up to play defense as to how they react over picks. Watch that time Bird was attempting to clear himself. Strong move by Walton.
And the basket goes in the second attempt by Bill Walton. Good work.
Good job by the big guy, and that's where you get back into the game, obviously, off the boards and defensively. But coming off picks, when you see the man guarding the picket, is he edging out on the opposite side, looking for help in case the guy goes that way? Is the man guarding the man with the ball? Is he coming over on top of the pick rather than sliding behind or in between? All of these things generally will give you a pretty good clue as to the type of intensity you're going to face defensively.
All right, it's an 11-point Atlanta lead at 40-29. Eddie Johnson with Carlisle on him. Carlisle and Seestein are the guards. Wedman out there as well, and we've got a foul called on Carlisle, who backed into Cliff Levingston. Now Dominique Wilkins comes in for the Hawks, and he replaces Antoine Carr. Hey, they've got bruisers on this club. Carr, Levingston, and Willis are all big, strong, willing, and tough. Wilkins, who had 14 points in the first quarter, is back in for Atlanta.
Well, that's what we were saying on top about Rivers stabilizing this team. It sounds self-serving, but, you know, when we talk about Birds and Bill Russells, the impact they have on everyone else, there's Webb again in there.
Walton the rebound.
On a team, how they make everyone else play better. When a guard stabilizes a club, he has perhaps more impact. He affects every function of the team.
Bird misses the three-point shot, and the Hawks come back down. Here's Webb all the way. Doesn't get it. Whistle and a foul. Webb, every time they get the basketball, when Webb's the point guard, they are smoking up the floor.
I'll tell you what, you better get your transition shoes on when this kid's in the game, and as soon as that ball goes up and you go from offense to defense, just turn around and do your sprint to get back on defense, because he's going to beat you down and create something.
He's a 74% foul shooter, averaging 6 points per ball game for these Atlanta Hawks, along with 3 assists, 41 steals, and, are you ready for this? 3 blocked shots. He's blocked 3 shots.
I think, doesn't he dunk from a standstill?
He's 5'7". He can dunk from a standing stock. Straight up in the air and slam it through. Foul called on Eddie Johnson. Blocking foul. Celtics will put the ball in play on the near side. It is a possession foul. The third Atlanta team foul of the second quarter. The Celtics have 2. It comes inbounds to Carlisle. Carlisle, Seestein, Bird, Wedman, and Walton out there for the Celtics. Walton is doubled up, looking for someone who's got to be free, finds Wedman free, and he knocks it down. Scott is on a roll over the last couple of nights. 42-31, Celtics down by 11. Eddie Johnson, and now Webb.
Especially effective when they try to trap down, and Atlanta is doing this very quickly. They're getting down on our big guys inside. It's had an effect, but it's also opened up opportunities for the outside shooters with Wedman and Bird and Seestein and Carlisle in there together. They've hit their share of outside shots. And
Atlanta with a quick hands, coming up with a steal and with the ball. Johnson takes it all the way and does not get it. Rebound Levingston. He does get it. 8 points for Cliff Levingston, and Atlanta leading it by 13.
Celtics simply not meeting Atlanta's intensity on the boards or defensively so far.
He missed the shot. Everything worked well except the shot itself. Spud Webb.
That impressive.
Wow. Atlanta by 15. Right now they are blowing the Celtics away here in the first half. The Celtics want a timeout, and they get one, and they need one, quite frankly. 7:43 to play in the first half. A standing ovation at the Omni because Atlanta leads 46-31.
he'll be insufferable if we...
Oh, Lord. Well, folks, the current issue of the Celtics' new tabloid, Celtics Pride, contains features on Celtics head coach K.C. Jones and his career, regular features and photographs that appear in all the issues. Celtics Pride, published 20 times a year. Don't miss another issue. For your subscription, send $20 to Celtics Pride, Post Office Box 9148, Boston 02114. David Thirdkill has come into the ball game, and Larry Bird is sitting down for a moment. Well, the Celtics have, as you look at K.C. Jones, Seestein, Carlisle, Thirdkill, Wedman, and Walton in there. Coos, what do you think K.C. told us this time out?
He obviously can't be pleased with the way the regulars have handled the intensity of the Atlanta pressure, so he's simply saying, hey, if you guys can't do it, let's see what the bench can do. You know, try to teach them a lesson. It's a good tactic if it works. The bottom side of that is that, you know, if they continue Atlanta with the intensity, they could all of a sudden be up by 25.
Walton is going to be called for a reaching in foul on John Koncak. It'll be the third Celtics team foul of the first half of the second quarter as you take another peek at it. Celtics now with 3 team fouls in the quarter.
Walton, still having difficulty with his mobility a bit. He's told me at breakfast this morning his vertical stuff, jumping, etc., is fine, but if he's got a bend or occasionally reach in the wrong direction, why, he has a lot of stiffness in the back.
Eddie Johnson from outside. He's a good shooter from that area, and he knocks it in. And Atlanta again leads it by 15, 48-33. 7 minutes to go in the first half.
Old Johnson, before the arrival of Wilkins, used to be their go-to guy. He was the game breaker that could score 30 or 40 points.
Walton gets it low, wheels for the jump hook, and he gets it. Boy, Walton had an excellent game last night against Indiana, and is continuing it again tonight. Spud Webb is out, by the way. Doc Rivers in for Atlanta. Celtics trailing it 48-35. 6.5 minutes left in the first half. Atlanta had gone on a 12-6 spurt to build up the lead to 15. Now the Celtics got to lay some defense on them. Eddie Johnson goes by Carlisle. Rivers straight away. Rebound to Walton. Ahead it comes to Rick Carlisle of the Celtics. Carlisle generally very cool under pressure, and you can see it there as he maintained the dribble. Looking for Walton. Tried to play the give and go. The ball was slapped away by Johnson. Good play defensively for Eddie Johnson.
See, normally those plays work if the defense isn't in a ready position, but Atlanta is playing with such great intensity that you've got to be more careful with the ball on the little give and goes and backdoor moves. Because now the defense has the advantage, not the offense in this kind of a situation. The Celtics have not done that. They've been careless, and boy, Atlanta has really exploited it.
Celtics foul was on David Thirdkill, the 4th team foul. The Celtics Coos now have 10 turnovers in the first half of this game, which is unusual for them.
As I say, they haven't responded either physically or mentally to the defensive intensity they're facing.
All right, Tree Rollins back in for Atlanta along with Randy Whitman. Wilkins low, loses the ball, it's kept alive, and it goes to Cliff Levingston. Now Doc Rivers. Rivers and Whitman are the guards, Wilkins and Levingston the forwards, Rollins the center, no basket, blocking foul. Called on the Celtics, and Doc Rivers will be at the foul line for Atlanta.
Everything going Atlanta's way at the moment, including the calls. Seestein not quite in there. It was a good call. It brought Casey off the bench, but you've got to establish position. You've got to be squared away with that driver if you expect the block call. Charge call, excuse me.
Doc Rivers, a 68% foul shooter, gets the first one. He leads this team in steals with 52. Played at Marquette, 6'4". Former #1 draft choice of Atlanta. He gets them both, and the Hawks again lead by 15 points. They've pretty much maintained that 15-point edge throughout this second quarter. 5.5 minutes left to play in the first half. Carlisle with Rivers on him, and now Wedman for the Celtics. Scott, by the way, scored 8 points so far in this ball game. Finds Seasteen, a steal by Rivers. There he goes.
Again, I don't want to repeat myself, but, you know, against this kind of defensive pressure, you need pump fakes before you make the pass. Then on every pass over 6 or 7 feet, you need a lot of mustard, a lot of heat. You can't lay it out there at all and be passive because the defense is intense.
Barry Durham just hit Robert Parrish with an offensive foul for throwing an elbow on the drive. So it'll be Atlanta ball on the near side, and the Hawks with a 17-point lead, their biggest of the game. Second foul on Parrish.
It's uncharacteristic. Celtics losing their cool in the face of this pressure just a bit.
Rivers for the Hawks with Seasteen on him. Rivers got a couple of inches, maybe 3 on him. Whitman straight out. Atlanta by 19. They continue to shoot brilliantly, over 60% in the first half. Celtics want another timeout. 4:47 left to play. First half at the Omni. It is Atlanta rolling along right now, 54-35.
In the Southwest Conference. Who are they? Put your answer on the board. Find on the back of the Hawks section.
Oh, yes. This for the boys at French Lick.
All of it?
Back there in Indiana.
Just part of it? Or?
Centimeter by centimeter. Hello. Oh, yeah. She was asking for you earlier, Louie. Yeah, she was asking for you earlier. She said, where's Lou, the big guy, Schumann?
Grand prize, compliments of Nestle Quik. Okay, ready? Begin.
Kuzma. I can't see him. I don't even know where he is.
He wants to go into the truck to watch the interview on a monitor.
I think I see him. Yeah, I think I see him standing in front of the trainer. Scoring leaders so far. Bird with 10, including a couple of 3-point hoops. Wedman with 8. Atlanta spread it out pretty well. Wilkins, Rivers, Whitman, Livingston. Livingston has had a big impact on this ball game because he got them some second shots off the offensive boards, which they weren't getting earlier on.
All 3 of their big guys have. Willis, Livingston, and Carl have all contributed in keeping the momentum alive. Much more difficult to interrupt momentum when you're away from home than when at home. Obviously, nice. There's the split, but here comes Rollins.
Bird follows it up and drops it home. And it's 54-37. The Celtics have Ainge, Seasteen, Parrish, Bird, and McHale out there. Atlanta with Rivers, Whitman, Willis, Rollins, and Wilkins.
Whenever you penetrate against this team, expect to find Rollins over there from the weak side. He's effective at doing that.
Rebound in for Tree Rollins. And Atlanta again has a 19-point lead. They continue to shoot well. They are 60% for the game.
And they continue to do it on second efforts with this kind of offensive rebounding. And once again, the Celtics are not matching. We've said it too often now in terms of defense and boards, but also in terms of boxing out. When a team is hopped up the way these guys are, you've got to make your contact before you go to the board with the offensive rebounders, the strong guys, the big guys like Rollins. If you do that, they're going to overpower you.
McHale committed the foul, and it's a 3-point play for Tree Rollins and a lead of 18 points for Atlanta, 56-38. All right, Dennis Johnson back in. Now Bird from the corner. He's been hot. Misses that one. Rebound, Kevin Willis. And Doc Rivers gets hit right in the eye, and he's in pain. Danny Ainge reached in for the ball and caught him right in the eye. And he's right down on the floor in front of us. Ray Melchiori is out taking a look at him. Here comes the Atlanta trainer. And Rivers just turned in our direction and was really in pain as he hit the floor. Ainge had reached around. Let's see if we can see it. Here's the pass from Willis to Rivers. Ainge reaching in for the ball, and Well, we really couldn't see it. He just
obviously
scratched him right
really
across the
scratched
eye.
him or poked him in the eye. He was hurting. I'll tell you, he was writhing on the floor. And take another look. Now, you really don't see it that well. He reaches out with his left hand and gets him in the eye.
Yeah. The foul is on Ainge, and Atlanta is in the bonus right now. Rivers, if he can continue, will shoot the foul shots. If he couldn't continue, then the Celtics, K.C. Jones would have the option of picking anyone he wanted off the Atlanta bench to shoot the foul shots, but apparently Rivers is going to be okay.
I'm sure they'll have him shoot him one way or the other, because if he does not shoot him, then he can't re-enter the game. So if he's hurting, it makes more sense to, at this juncture in the game, let him shoot the fouls and then take him out so that he can re-enter.
There's Rivers and all of his teammates gathering around him. The foul on Danny Ainge, his second. 3:55 left to play here in the first half, with Atlanta leading the game by 20 points, 57-37.
I'll tell you, they put on some kind of display, a lot different than the last time we were in here. They were not impressive then, very individualistic, without any fire defensively. All on the ball.
Wow, it's really swollen up. He missed the first shot. That is really swollen up. The cut is right underneath the eye. Missed them both. Rebound by Kevin Willis. Shoots a almost air ball. It comes ahead to Larry Bird, and he stops it. The Celtics have cut the lead to 57-39, but they got a lot of work to do in this one. Doc Rivers for Atlanta. They want a timeout, and Rivers will have to come out of the ballgame probably because of that eye. Well, Atlanta takes a timeout with 3.5 minutes left here in the first half. The Celtics are trailing by 18 points, Coos, and the things that we've talked about so far, the defensive intensity and all that business, Rivers is going to go out and go into the locker room with the Atlanta trainer. There goes Doc Rivers. The things that we've talked about, the defensive intensity that the Celtics will have to pick up, not allowing Atlanta to get the second shots as they have here in the second quarter, those things are all well and good for us to say these are the things that they must do. At what point in time does the basketball team itself begin to realize that these are the things they have to do, despite the fact that the coaches keep telling them? There comes a point when they finally say to themselves, yeah, he's right, we better start doing it.
Well, with a team with a lot of pride and character, which obviously the Celtics have, it's when they start to feel a little humiliated. Because the thing that works against you, we talked on top about the importance of this particular game, even though it's mid-year, to the Atlanta franchise. Yep. Well, invariably in the past when that happens to the weak team, the game is so important and they finally get a sellout and they've got the best or one of the best teams in the league in, you usually throw a flat on your face, and you embarrass yourself. This has not happened tonight.
Obviously.
Atlanta has come out with, as I say, fire in their eyes. They've controlled the action in every category, almost from the opening gun. So what I'm saying, to them it's very important. Obviously to the Celtics it's just another game, and it becomes, with that kind of a mental approach, it becomes more difficult. In other words, you're willing to let yourself get embarrassed a little bit longer before you finally say, hey, God bless it, let's go to work. You know what I'm saying? So hopefully, it's been an embarrassing enough situation for the first half here, where at halftime, Casey I'm sure, won't have any difficulty finding some nasty things to say and try to create the necessary momentum in the second half, but I don't necessarily see it happening in the next 3 minutes and 38 seconds.
All right, Dominique Wilkins to inbounds for Atlanta. Eddie Johnson has come in at the point guard position, replacing Doc Rivers. The Celtics have their starting unit back out there, and Atlanta does as well, with the exception of Rivers, who is out, and Johnson, who is in. They find Wilkins along the baseline, and he puts a move and a half on to get a hoop up over Robert Parrish.
I'll tell you,
16 in the game for Wilkins.
You were saying earlier that the last time you saw Wilkins, he had stabilized his back considerably. He normally has a lot of wasted motion and makes difficult shots out of easy ones. I haven't seen that at all yet tonight. So, and he has been really dominant. Kevin with a little fall away. You notice he continues not to be allowed into the basket, which he's been doing with great regularity so far this year on almost anyone who's guarded him. They've been able to keep him away from the basket by putting the big man on him.
Sneaking in for a layup is Kevin Willis, and again it's a 20-point Atlanta lead. So the Celtics have done nothing so far in the second quarter to cut into a lead that Atlanta has built up to 20. They led by 9 at the end of the first quarter. McHale is doubled up, takes the baseline jumper and has it rammed back at him by Tree Rollins, and it's called out of bounds off the Celtics.
Well, how's that? You know, on any level of athletic achievement, you give an individual a challenge, and if he's got some talent, he'll respond to it. I'm sure Patillo said to Rollins the last few days, hey, no one in the league is able to stop McHale, but you know what? You can, big guy. And I'll tell you, so far, how's that for an athletic goal? Is he putting a show on?
18 in the first half for Dominique. Celtics are down by 22, their biggest deficit of the game. Johnson baseline, doesn't get it. Bird goes after it. It's out of bounds, off Dominique Wilkins. It'll be Boston ball.
Anyway, so far Rollins has responded to that challenge extremely well, and Konchak has come in and done it pretty well. Here's the McHale play there. You see, Rollins just staying at home. He's 7 feet. He's got the long reach, or 7 feet 1. He knows he doesn't have to go for the fake to be effective.
Loose ball foul is called on the Atlanta Hawks. Now Eddie and Dennis Johnson are going after each other. Eddie Johnson went to throw the ball at Dennis. And Tree Rollins is entering the picture, as is Randy Whitman. Robert Parrish also coming to the aid of his guard, Dennis Johnson. KC's on the floor with Mike Fratello. And the whole thing started with an exchange of words between Dennis and Eddie Johnson.
Well, Patillo was out there in a hurry, and I don't blame him. When you're 20 points up, when you're 20 points down, you might say, hey, let the boys fight a little bit. But when you're 20 points up, you don't want to interrupt that, and you certainly don't want to lose any players. Win the fight and lose the game type thing.
Rollins with the clock. McHale with the ball. The hoop doesn't go for him, but he will be at the foul line. Foul is called on Tree Rollins, and that on Rollins is his third personal foul.
I'll tell you, I haven't seen Rollins this active since high school, I think. Wow, is he doing a job? Really creating a defensive force in that middle. He's got all of these guys thinking about it.
John Koncak, the #1 draft choice from SMU, is in for Atlanta, replacing Tree Rollins. McHale hits the front end of the two-shot foul at 63 to 42. The Celtics are down by 21 points here in the first half with 1:48 to play. Long way to go for the Celtics in the second half. Does a level of intensity that the Hawks showed in the first half, Coos, does that continue through the second half, or is it easier to come back defensively for the team that's down?
It's not, again, it's a question of how you choose to do it. You've got to match the defensive intensity and then stop trying to get back into it from outside. So far, the Celtics, who generally this year have been going inside very well with great consistency, have gotten away from that, and they're trying to get back into the game from outside. In other words, the easy way. You know, don't work for it. You know, we shoot well from out, so let's go do it from outside. No, that won't work.
There's Tree Rollins along with Kevin Willis, who has just had to sit down with his third personal foul, a loose ball foul. Atlanta's over the limit, so McHale will have 2 shots for the Celtics. Kevin has hit, 4 for 4 tonight. Last night he was 10 for 10. He's hit 15 foul shots in a row over the last couple of ball games. Celtics have cut it to 18 points at 63 to 45 with 1:32 to play in the half. That's 11 points for McHale. If the Celtics could work it down to about 12, I think it would be a major accomplishment here. Wilkins has it blocked by McHale. Loose ball, Koncak. Well, Celtics did everything right defensively, but a good bounce.
When you work as hard at it as Atlanta has, you create the break.
Yeah.
Now, that ball fell back into Atlanta's hands, granted, but it was, it was the activity off the offensive board. It was Wilkins staying involved in the play after getting it rejected, getting a little tip on it, and getting it over to Konchak. So, those things don't happen by chance. You usually create your breaks when you're working at it.
Dennis Johnson in the lane. Double clutches and hits. 65 to 47 with 1 minute to play in the first half. Ahead it comes to Wilkins. And he gets into the traffic. He hits, and he was fouled, and the basket counts.
Outstanding performance by Wilkins tonight.
20 points in the first half for Dominique Wilkins. Here it is again.
One more spectacular than the other. Look at this. Talk about balance.
Oh. Brilliant.
Incredible.
20 points for Dominique Wilkins, and he is at the line to shoot a free throw to try to make it a 3-point play. And he does. McHale has picked up the foul, his third of the ball game. The Celtics again are down by 21.
Hey, the Celtic guards have been very quiet tonight, too.
Absolutely.
Ainge is on the schneid, and Dennis has got 4, so it's been a complete team contribution in negative terms, and now they're still shooting from outside, trying to get back into it.
Eddie Johnson goes coast to coast, and Atlanta leads by 23. This is their biggest lead with 35 seconds left in the half. They had got it down to 18, and we were talking in terms of over the next minute and a half, them trying to get it down to 14 or 12, and instead Atlanta's pushed it back out to a 23-point lead.
Keep calling the timeouts. Call 15 of them if you have to, but just keep interrupting momentum. Really, you get a penalty of one shot after 7 in this league, but there's Kevin's move inside.
Foul was on Livingston.
One of the few that we've seen. The Celtics have not gone inside very effectively or tried to go inside too often tonight.
28 seconds left in the first half. Atlanta leading it by 22 points as they have really come out smoking today.
But
McHale finally misses a free throw after hitting 16 in a row.
Other than not going in too often, the Rollins and Konjak matchup with McHale has been very effective too. So let's give Patillo a little credit for that little bit of strategy.
All right, Whitman for Atlanta, firing from about 20 feet. Did not get it. They followed it and missed the shot. McHale the rebound. 3 seconds left in the half. Haynes, it does not go. And at the end of the first half, a standing ovation at the Omni for the red-hot Atlanta Hawks. They lead the Celtics 70-48. It's a hard C, like a K. Well, we sure looked lousy in that half, and Atlanta sure looked great, folks. Yo-wee. 70-48. I can't remember us being down by this much in a long time.
Scout Night. 1986 marks the 7th annual Atlanta Hawks Scout Night. The little crowd each year to honor the Boy Scouts, Weeblos, Cub Scouts, and Tiger Cubs of the Atlanta Area Council. Since the birth of scouting in 1960,
they're not going to have the will's not there tonight. I'll be very surprised if they make it go to the young folks.
Really?
119 authorized associations in more than 150 counties and territories. It is expanded to include girls in the world exploring and 6- and 7-year-old boys in the Tiger Cub program. It is this program we would like to honor.
Are we going to be playing to any camera anywhere? Oh, yeah.
For the past few months, these Tiger Cubs have taken the Tiger motto, search, discover, and share, and used it in their home, school, and neighborhood.
20 seconds. 20 seconds. There you got it.
The first part of their motto is...
Gil Santos and Bob Cousy back at the Omni in Atlanta, where a sellout crowd is whooping it up and having a good time, because right now the Atlanta Hawks are blowing the Celtics away. They are smoking them out at halftime by 22 points. The Celtics were outscored 34-25 in the first quarter, 36-23 in the second quarter for the 70-48 score. And the ball game really started to turn early on. Midway through the first quarter, it was at 14-14. Then it was 16-16, and the Hawks then ran off 10 unanswered points over the next 2.5 minutes to go ahead by 10. And the Celtics have not been closer than 10 ever since, Coos.
Pick a category in this game, and the Celtics lost it.
Yes,
or Atlanta won it,
I
should say, because this is a good old-fashioned beating up to now. You know, it's not a question of strategy, although the Fratello strategy of putting a center, and it'll be interesting to see if it continues to be effective on Kevin McHale. Play your center on Kevin. The word will be out, but before the game is up, everyone in the league will know about it, and Kevin is going to see a lot of centers guarding him if it continues to work. But the point is, its intensity. Atlanta has had it in every department. It's been especially reflected off the offensive board, and on the defensive end, it's created violations. Celtics have tried to get back into it the easy way from outside, and that's not going to do it unless they start going inside and pick it up defensively.
Early in the ballgame, the Celtics had a 10-3 rebounding edge. Right now, it is 26-24 Boston, so Atlanta really has started to hit the boards, and the Celtics have not taken good care of the basketball. They've committed 12 first-half turnovers, Atlanta just 2. All of those are the reasons that the Atlanta Hawks have 70 points at the half, and the Celtics have just 48. You want me to go right to it right away?
The leader of
all right. All right.
Always told the Wolves to look well at the new Cubs. So we say to all you scouts, as Michaela did, look well, O Wolves, as your fellows jump.
Wow. Oh, yeah, Dominique has been brilliant.
Will now welcome these families into Cubs Scouting with the Cubs Scout neckerchief.
Dominique. Oh, yeah.
We would like to express
Dominique has, I'm really impressed with the way he's played.
First good game I think I've ever seen a guy play. You know, I mean, very effective, little wasted motion.
John.
By the Cathedral of Faith of God in Christ.
Gotta have one.
625, sponsored by Johnson Elementary School.
Louis, do you remember that vow we talked about a couple of weeks ago?
It's going to start soon.
It lasted about 12 seconds, about 8, 7. It lasted 6, 5, 4. He's lighting up.
Poof. It's halftime at the Omni in Atlanta, where the Atlanta Hawks, led by some outstanding defense and the great play of Dominique Wilkins, are leading the Celtics by 22 points, 70-48. One of the key operatives of the Atlanta Hawks this season is 5'7" Spud Webb, the smallest and shortest player in the NBA. Bob Cousy had a chance to talk with Spud Webb prior to the game.
Spud, I got to tell you, not too many rookies, and certainly not many opponents have ever gotten a standing O in the Boston Garden. That happened to you last week. That must have been quite a kick.
Definitely, it was quite a kick for someone to come in Boston where they didn't see guys of all sorts of talent and great teams there, and you get a standing O for performances is very uplifting for you.
Mm-hmm. You know, many years ago, I'm afraid before you were born now, I might have been close to the smallest man in the league. Maybe I was for a while, but God, I used to get more letters from kids, and I still do, as a matter of fact, and I'm sure you must get a ton of mail, you know, little guys obviously, hey, can I make it in the big leagues? I'm curious, what do you tell them?
Well, I get a lot of letters from, guys that say they are same size as me or a little smaller. That, ask me how did I succeed in, going about the way I came. And you just tell them that you can't listen to all the negative talk or criticism about you. You just have to go out and believe in yourself that you can do it.
Mm-hmm. Just a lot of hard work, obviously, like anything else in life. Certainly it applies in sports. What about Michael Adams, of course, gave it his best shot and was just released, as you probably know. So officially now, you're the little guy in the league. What, in terms of how do you compensate for that? You're giving away. It's a league that has a premium on size and strength, but for that matter, you're involved in a game that puts a premium on big guys and big, strong guys. How does Spud Webb compensate for this?
Well, it's true that there are a lot of uplift on bigger guys, but you just try to go out and play the way you play and try not to do the things that you can't do. And when I go out, it's like a role play. I go in and try to bring the team up and push it up the court the best way I can and spread the ball out to the people that's open. And I think that's why our coach plays me.
Mm-hmm. Well, I'm sure your speed and quickness has a little to do with it, too, and that's the advantage, hopefully, the little guy enjoys in this game. At whatever size, the guard has to be a little quicker and faster to penetrate and lay down, or the outside shot, these skills that lend themselves to your position.
Yeah, that's true. Point guard, I think, have to penetrate and hit the jump shot when it's there. And And basically, you try to use your quickness when you are smaller than the other guy and try to create problems for them.
What about tonight when Danny Ainge takes you inside, or whoever? I know I used to call for help immediately. I had a guy named Russell behind me there who used to tiptoe over as quickly as he could and intimidate whoever it was trying to take me inside. What do you do whichever guard you're guarding takes you in?
Well, basically, I try to set him up for a bigger guy to block the shot by, getting the ball before he go up. And I hope a tree or somebody come over and swat it out. But you just have to play the best you can and create a problem before he get.
Do you try to front him, or just vary your defense when you get in there?
Well, there's somebody behind me. I try to front him, but basically you try to side him and make a bad angle for a pass in, so you can basically gamble at a steal.
How does Spud Webb feel at this point? Now you've gotten your feet wet. You're getting more and more playing time. You've had actually a good degree of success at your position. Are you looking over your shoulder anymore? Are you secure in your own mind that you've got the team made and you can play on this level?
Well, I think I can play and perform every night, but every night out for a guy at my size, I have to go out every night and try to prove that you can play. And I think I still kind of looking over my shoulder a little bit. Every night I try to go out and play consistent and see what happens when the season over.
And that's all we can do, right, Spud?
That's true.
Good luck.
All right, thanks.
Thanks for joining us. Gil and I will be back with more halftime activity in just a moment.
That against Cleveland, the last game they played, the Hawks were leading by about 26 at the half, and they gave up 21 in a row. Plus the other point, if the Celtics start playing some defense, they got to cut this 58% shooting percentage down. This is horrendous. They've got two. Rivers is out there.
Arnold Air Force Base, Maxwell Air Force Base, Phoenix City First Baptist, Macon County High School, sponsored by First Atlanta Bank, Macon County Branch, Columbus Bank and Trust, Macon County Branch, and Southern Frozen Foods. Also, Warner Robins High School, sponsored by Quick Pharmacy, and Wigan Ford Lincoln Mercury.
Gil Santos and Bob Cousy back at the Omni in Atlanta. And if you've just dialed across, the score at halftime, the Atlanta Hawks are leading the Celtics by 22 points, 70-48. Reasons for that: Atlanta's playing extremely intense defense, playing very well on the offensive end, hitting the board. They're doing everything that they should be doing in order to be leading by 22, and the Celtics are really doing everything that they should be doing to be trailing by 22.
Well, without question. The question as far as Atlanta's concerned is, can they sustain this emotional high for 48 minutes? This is not easy to do, even at home in front of a sellout crowd. But they don't have to sustain the kind of intensity that they've shown if the Celtics don't respond.
Right.
In other words, the Celtics have the 22 points to make up, so the pressure's on them. Unless they increase their defensive and backboard involvement and match that intensity, they're not going to make up the 22. So all these guys have to do is really match hoop for hoop. You know what I'm saying? So let's wait. The first couple of minutes will tell the story. If the Celtics are digging in defensively, if they're going inside with their offense, then they're serious and they want to get back into the game. If they're not, it minimizes the pressure on Atlanta as far as maintaining this high.
Celtics have turned it over 12 times in the first half. The Hawks only twice. Atlanta has shot 58.5%. The Celtics have shot 40%. Dominique Wilkins with 21 has been spectacular for Atlanta in the first half. The only Celtics who have really done anything: Larry Bird with 14, Kevin McHale with 12, Parrish has only 4. Ainge hasn't scored. Johnson has scored only 4. So the Celtics are not getting any production out of their guards either. I want to remind you don't have to be on the court to get called for traveling. Channel 56 and Stop and Shop will be sending 20 lucky winners to Celtics away games. All you have to do to enter is go to a participating Stop and Shop for an official entry and keep watching Channel 56 for details. We'll be coming back for the second half of action here in the Omni. See if the Celtics can cut into this 22-point deficit. All right.
They don't have anybody that gets big, so
Yeah, he went for something. That one mine? We'll split that. Thanks.
After the game at the sales booth near the Boston fans. Don't miss out on this exciting offer. Let the Hawks take unicorn from now until the end of an exciting Hawk season.
Scratch on his left eyeball.
As a reminder, tonight on Courtside with Bill O'Connell, the winner of the Light Beer Channel 56 All-Star Sweepstakes will be drawn. Tune in right after the game to find out if you're the lucky person who'll be winning an all-expense-paid trip to the NBA All-Star game in Dallas. Here are the team halftime statistics, and as you see, Atlanta's shooting very well, 58.5%. Celtics with a 2-rebound edge, but they turned the ball over 10 more times than Atlanta in the first half. Bird, Johnson, Ainge, McHale, and Parrish for the Celtics. Doc Rivers with a scratched eyeball is starting the second half for Atlanta with Whitman at the other guard, Willis, Rollins, and Wilkins up front. McHale gets it to Bird, who had 14 in the first half and now has 16. Now let's see what the Celtics do defensively as the Hawks come down.
Let's see what they pick up. That's a good barometer. Well, Robert Parrish is out there denying.
Certainly is. All right, this is Wilkins trying to go on Bird from outside. Wilkins hits it. This Atlanta Hawk team had a 26-point lead on the Cavaliers the other night and gave up 21 unanswered points, so teams can run on them, put together runs on them, but right now it's going to take outstanding Boston effort at both ends of the floor. Ainge for the Celtics, and now McHale, straight out, gets it to Dennis Johnson, mixed match as he fires over Tree Rollins, does not hit. The rebound goes to Dominique. He's got 23 points and is playing a spectacular game. With the pass to Kevin Willis, who couldn't hang on to it.
Don't stop to explain, Dominic. Just get back on defense. That's a bad habit for players to get into when something goes wrong. Bird.
That's 18 points in the ball game for Larry Bird. That was only the third Atlanta turnover of the game.
It's a bad habit to obviously stay behind a play and, complain to the officials or explain to somebody why the pass went out of bounds or whatever, because a lot of things are happening while you're doing that.
All right, Dennis Johnson for the Celtics as they try to saw some wood and chop away at this Atlanta lead. Parrish, nice up fake, gets the hoop. Nice job by Robert Parrish as he got Kevin Willis into the air and then went over him easily for the shot.
Good job for the Celtics fans tuned in. We like what we see so far. They've gone inside twice. Those Birds hit those two from out, but the defensive intensity seems to be picking up and that they're trying to deny people.
Kevin Willis off the backboard for a pair for Atlanta. He's a good basketball player. Played at Michigan State, #1 draft choice 2 years ago for Atlanta. So in 2 years, they've gotten Willis at 7 feet and Koncak at 7 feet. They've got a big club and a good young club. McHale, Dennis Johnson, and now Ainge. They find Bird open. He winds up from 20. Tough. 3 for 3 for Larry Bird in the second half. 20 points for the game.
He started the first quarter in the game off that way with 2 3-pointers and then a 2-pointer. Let's see if he can continue it.
Here's Doc Rivers. Scratched eyeball was the word on Rivers in the injury that he sustained when Ainge hit him accidentally across the eye. Rivers gets the rebound, loses the ball out of bounds. It's off the Celtics. It'll be Atlanta ball with 22 on the shot clock as they had gotten it back after a missed shot. All right, Rivers will put it in play for the Hawks. Squeezes it into Kevin Willis. Now, Dominique has it blocked by McHale. Celtics are 3-on-1. Bird on the wing is fouled from behind by Doc Rivers. And the foul is on Rivers.
Good job by the Celtics defensively that time. Collapsed to the ball well. DJ holds it just long enough to freeze that defensive man and open up that lane for Bird and gives it to him and gets clobbered by Rivers.
9:16 to go, third quarter. The Celtics have cut into the lead. It's 74-56, Atlanta. We might have a shot yet.
Yeah, they're digging in.
Oh, jeez. You know, if they beat us, he'll be insufferable. You know what? You remember what we were saying about those guys in Indiana, the statement they were trying to make? This guy's making the same statement.
How you doing, Mike?
Yeah, apparently. I'm not surprised. Looks like he should be wearing a motorcycle jacket. Big news happening at Channel 56 beginning February 3rd. Howie Carr joins the news at 10 with his special brand of commentary. And INN News with Morton Dean will follow at 10:30. Be sure to tune in. Larry Bird will be at the line to shoot a pair. Larry has 6 points already in the third quarter and has 20 for the ball game. McHale is next with 12. Atlanta has Wilkins with 23, and then 4 other players after him with 8 apiece. Larry, the leading foul shooter in the NBA right now, just under 93% for the season.
1, 2, 3 for the Celts.
Yep.
Danny Ainge is
second.
Lifted himself into the second spot. And as we said last night, Jerry Seasting is unofficially in the first spot. He just doesn't have enough free throws, free throw attempts.
The Bird gets both free throws, and the Celtics have now cut the Atlanta lead to 16 points. Rivers looking for Whitman. Now Dominique. They go low to Willis. Dominique Wilkins. High in the air, high off the glass.
Well, I'll tell you,
great defense on him.
Absolutely. This kid's just putting on a show.
25.
Tremendous display of physical talent and skills.
25 points in the ball game for Dominique. Trying to force it into Parrish inside. We get a foul on Atlanta that is called on Kevin Willis, and that is his 4th personal foul. On Atlanta, they're second as a team here in the third quarter. Now McHale wheels on Rollins and hits the jump hook. And it's suddenly 76-60. The Celtics are within 16. Here's Whitman off the pick straight out. Does not get the bounce this time, and McHale gets the rebound. Ahead to Dennis Johnson. Celtics making a bit of a run. Not that time. Bird the rebound. Basket does not count. It's going to be called a loose ball foul on Larry Bird.
Bird moved him out of there,
yeah,
but with delicacy, I should say. There's the DJ. I didn't think he would call that. No, that's the kind of contact they normally allow, but there's no question that he nudged the man enough to move him out of the play.
Bird trying to play deny defense on Wilkins. Matter of fact, the Celtics are trying to play deny defense all over the floor. Cliff Levingston, by the way, has come in. Missed shot, ball loose into the hands of Dennis Johnson. Levingston is in, replacing Willis for Atlanta. Bird at the other end has Whitman on him, a much smaller man. Bird, spectacular! Larry Bird. 24 points for Bird.
Oh, Bird, not to be outdone, starting to put on a little show of his own now.
Got 10 here in this third quarter. Celtics have cut it to 14. Whitman now working it low to Tree Rollins. Jump hook. Missed shot. Rebound Bird. Foul Atlanta. Tree Rollins. That is his fourth personal foul.
First signs of Atlanta starting to lose their cool a little bit and get a bit frustrated by the increased defensive pressure.
Here's the last move by Larry Bird for 2 over Randy Whitman.
As you can see, the defensive man is there. Whitman in good position, forces him to what looks like an off-balance, low-percentage shot. Meanwhile, he got nothing but net.
And now Bird is smoking. He's got 12 points in this quarter and 26 in the ball game.
Don't turn off that set yet, folks. The guys in green.
Within 12 now. The foul is called reaching in on Dennis Johnson. It'll only be the second team foul on the Celtics here in the third quarter. Wilkins will put the ball in play. 7:13 to play in the third. The Celtics have cut 10 points off the Atlanta lead. It's now 76-64. The Hawks are up by 12. All right, Wilkins for Atlanta with Bird on him.
You can see the deny defense is having an effect on the continuity of the Atlanta half court.
Missed shot by Doc Rivers. Loose ball foul Atlanta. Called, I believe, on Rivers. And no, it's going to go on Livingston. Going to go to Livingston. Here it is. I didn't think Livingston was there.
Again, Atlanta working hard on an offensive board, but not much finesse. Livingston just jumps into the pack.
That is the fourth team foul on Atlanta here in the third quarter. The Celtics have only 2. Dennis Johnson for the Celtics, looking for Bird, who's the hot man with 12 points in this quarter, and 26 for the game. Parrish wheels. 2 for the Chief. And it's a 10-point ball game with 6.5 minutes to play in the third quarter.
Celtics going inside. That's when they become very dangerous.
Atlanta now missing the shots, Coos, that were going in the first half.
The breaks now starting to go the other way, and again created by the defensive intensity. So often, that doesn't help, obviously. So often in this game, you know, the momentum is changed with defense, not with offense.
All right, the turnover on the attempted bullet pass from Ainge to Dennis Johnson just couldn't quite catch up with it. Celtics lead, or trail now by 10. They had trailed by 22 at the half. With the basketball, though, is Cliff Livingston. Played at Wichita State. Gets it outside of Whitman. Now Contact has it stolen by Danny Ainge.
Again, good defensive pressure, good weak side help. Ainge comes across, catches the big man by surprise.
Parrish, now Ainge. Chief again with Contact on him. Chief trying to wheel on him. Turnaround Rainbow. No. Rebound loose. Parrish has it. Foul called against the Celtics. Kevin McHale. That is 4 on McHale. And it is the third team foul on the Celtics.
Parrish jumper. Here they are. Livingston goes up with McHale, and evidently they caught Kevin. The question now is if the Celtics make up this deficit, you know, how much energy will it expand, and will they be able to go on from there?
Bill Walton getting set to check in for the Celtics. Eddie Johnson is in for Atlanta, replacing Doc Rivers. Livingston and now Eddie Johnson. Contact low. Blocked by Parrish. Foul call on Robert Parrish.
Contact working hard. You're right. This kid is impressive.
Yeah, he's had a good rookie season. Third foul on Parrish. Look at it again.
Yeah, he establishes the good position along the baseline there with that little step. Gets Robert on his back. Once the big man gets that inside position, I'll tell you, there's not a great deal you can do at that point defensively other than foul him in.
John Concack was a member of the U.S. gold medal winning Olympic basketball team, and he's had a very good rookie year. The thing is that, you know, Patrick Ewing has been so spectacular for the Knicks that people really have hardly noticed Concack, but he's quietly averaging 8 points a game, 5 rebounds, and 22 block shots to this point. Not bad for a rookie. Concack gets 1 out of the 2. The Celtics had put together a 10-3 run. Now they're down by 11 at 77-66. Parrish finds Walton, who's checked in for McHale. Walton back out to Danny Ainge. Parrish again. Whistle. 3-second violation on the Celtics.
Well, again, the good support defense on the part of Atlanta interrupts the timing and continuity of the half-court offense and gets big men standing around. They caught Robert for the 3-second violation, but give credit to the defense.
And Antoine Carr has come in for Atlanta, and he has replaced Cliff Livingston. Eddie Johnson, and now contact for the Hawks. This is Randy Whitman, played at Indiana. Carr, right into the hands of Larry Bird. Ahead to Dennis Johnson. DJ will take it all the way. Has it blocked. Bird comes up with it. The basket counts, and it's foul. Great play by Larry Bird.
Not only that, but an inspirational play. You see the high fives between he and Ainge and he and DJ. There's the DJ drive. Good penetration, gets in there, but an exceptional defensive play by Wilkins. Gets at it. Bird on a good pursuit is in. Little fake, gets the man up in the air, and a three-pointer.
All right, Bird misses the free throw, but the Celtics have cut the Atlanta lead down to 9 points. It's 77 to 68. Eddie Johnson comes all the way through for Atlanta. Celtics have outscored the Hawks 20 to 9 so far in this third quarter, with 4.5 minutes to play in the third. Bird has 28 points in the ball game. 14 of them here in the third quarter. DJ, 18-footer, doesn't go. Rebound, Carr. Eddie Johnson back. Bird the steal. Into the hands of Bill Walton. Bird is all over the place in this third quarter. Johnson back. Bird's hot. Not this time. Rebound, Dominique.
Don't overlook Eddie Johnson in your defensive planning.
That's the ball. Wilkins a little out of control on that one.
Yeah, that's the first one, I got to tell you. You know, he normally, every other time down, that's what he's doing. But, boy, that hasn't been the case tonight. He has been exceptional. But don't overlook Eddie Johnson, as they say in your defensive planning, because I think we mentioned in the first half, this kid's a game breaker. He's got a lot of talent.
Bird, no basket, no basket. Bird cutting through. The foul is called on Atlanta's Dominique Wilkins. That puts Atlanta over the limit, and Bird will be at the line to shoot, too. He's trying to figure out why he doesn't have the hoop here, but I think it came well before the shot.
Yeah,
he had been holding on to Bird as Bird is cutting through before he got the pass.
Just flashes through there quickly.
2 foul shots for Larry Bird. Larry's missed 2 in a row. It's the first time that's happened in a while.
Well, will also drop him out of first place, probably.
1 more free throw for Larry. He gets that one, so it's a 10-point ball game. Now the question will be if the Celtics can keep this at around the 10-point area or less by the end of this quarter, what will they be like in the fourth quarter with all the expended energy that Kuz was talking about earlier? Carr into the lane, took a few steps, but it wasn't called. Parrish the rebound.
Carr is an offensive liability at the moment. He's just getting back into action, and you can tell he's very tentative inside, but he will do that damage defensively and on the boards for you.
All right, Dennis Johnson to Bill Walton. He's being guarded by Antoine Carr. Walton goes around him and gets it off the glass.
Oh, nice job by Walton.
8-point ball game, 79-71. 3 minutes to go in the third. Celtics have come back from an early 23-point deficit in the first half. Shot missed by Wilkins. He'll be at the line. Celtics were down by 22 at halftime. Their biggest deficit has been 23. Right now they have it down to 8 with a spectacular third quarter.
I'm sure Casey would settle for a reduction of about 12 points in that lead at the three-quarter mark. You know, that would put the Celtics in a relatively good position going into the fourth quarter with momentum in their favor.
2 shots for Dominique Wilkins, and the first one is good. Into the ball game for Atlanta, for the Celtics rather, Greg Kite. He has replaced Robert Parrish. Scott Wedman will be getting set to come in as well. Mike
Fratello there wanted to say hello to a friend of his in Milford, Maine. Yo Colabello. Alfred Colabello. Mike Fratello wants to say hello.
All right. Walton for the Celtics. Down by 10 now after a strong comeback here in the third quarter. Ainge finds Bird cutting through. Larry fall away. Glass. 2 more. 31 points for Bird.
Wow.
17 in this quarter. Eddie Johnson all the way coast to coast. He is fouled. Let's see who it's on. It's going to go to Bill Walton. That is 3 on Walton.
See, Atlanta continues to take the ball to the basket. You know, this has the same effect as going inside. It keeps you going to the foul line, and it keeps your offense rolling.
Timeout on the floor. 2.5 minutes to play in the third quarter. Celtics have come all the way back to cut this thing down to 8 at 81-73.
The Sports Illustrated cover girl plus basketball's contested prize. as well as playoff priority 2. Tickets for the rest of the season are on sale now. See the Hawks sales representative after the game at the sales booth near the Boston bench. Do it now. Let the Hawks take you to court from now until the end of an exciting Hawks season. Tonight's Robinson Leasing trivia question was, 2 current Hawk players
Hey, Glad.
basketball in the Southwest Conference. Russ Roberts knew that John Contact and Scott
Hey, Glad.
was the correct answer.
Maybe we could be the PA guy here. John Carlson could.
Surprise will be mailed to you.
Yes. Oh, here the Omni in Atlanta. Yeah, must have been a boss jock, right? Rock and roll DJ. Yeah, the boss sound of Boss Town. Did the St. Louis Blues? How much back, Louis? You hear him doing hockey, huh? Jeez. Shot and he scores! Hits the post! Oh, Lord. Benefit concert for the New England Museum of Sports tomorrow, January 19th, 7:30, Symphony Hall with Bo Diddley, where you've been, and Roy Orbison. Tickets on sale for a great evening. Casey Jones will be singing as well. For information, call 78 Sport. Tomorrow night, 7:30, Symphony Hall in Boston. For the Celtics, all right, some changes now. We've got Johnson and Seasteen as the guards, Walton the center, Bird and Wedman are the forwards. For Atlanta, Eddie Johnson and Randy Whitman the guards. Eddie Johnson missing the front end of the 2-shot foul. The center is John Concack. The forwards are Dominique Wilkins and Cliff Livingston. EJ gets one of the 2 for Atlanta. 9-point lead with 2.5 minutes to go in the third quarter for the Atlanta Hawks, who led by 22 at the half, but the Celtics have come storming back. EJ finds Seasteen. They're going to look for Bird, who's been the hot hand. The steal by Wilkins. Fine defensive play. Loses the ball out of bounds, but it went off Scott Wedman, says Terry Durham, and it'll be Atlanta ball.
Scott is saying he just dribbled it out of bounds.
That's what I thought he did, too.
Just waved at him, and Wilkins didn't wait around for the call even. He kept right on going. I think that had a little influence on the judgment of the official.
All right, Eddie Johnson for Atlanta. Whitman gets Bird in the air. Nice pass. Nice pass by Randy Whitman to Cliff Livingston.
That's a good job there.
Bird from outside. In and out on this one. Rebound Concack.
Concack spreads out nicely,
doesn't he?
On that
right out of the hands of Wedman. Celtics are 3-on-3 as Wedman comes down. Finds Seasteen. Seasteen to the foul line. Now Wedman again, 3-pointer. Good! Oh, 3-point shot for Scott Wedman, and it's 84-76.
Oh, Scott continues hot. Big one there.
Celtics have cut it to 8 points with 1.5 minutes to play in the third quarter. Atlanta is shooting 30% in this quarter, so the 58% they had in the first half has cooled off to 30. Whitman. Foul, offensive on Cliff Livingston. It'll be Celtics ball with 1:22 to go in the third quarter.
Well, that helps a little bit. It would be nice to be able to cut it down to 6. Bud Webb coming in, hoping to stem the tide.
Well, you know they'll be running with Webb and Eddie Johnson as the guards now.
At this point, that could be negative, or that could be good for the Celtics.
Ask you that.
Yeah, I think the Celtics now want to see them open those. They've got the momentum. Running game probably will increase the mistakes.
Wedman is left open. Does not hit. Rebound to Dominique Wilkins. Here comes Spud Webb. 5-7. Dominique. Double pump. Pass to Livingston. Nice job, but the basket doesn't go. Foul is called as Walton got the rebound, but a foul is called on Scott Wedman.
Wilkins drops it inside to Livingston, just rushes it. Scott moves him out with his body, but they said he fouled him beforehand. Livingston, not a bad free throw shooter, 71%. Well, that's what the team's shooting. So
Livingston is at 64.8 coming into this one.
Oh, is that right?
The team was at 71. If he gets them both, then he's a 100% shooter this time around.
I'm sorry, you're right. I was looking at Whitman. Yeah, Livingston is 64.
He's averaging 10 points and 6.5 rebounds a game. They got Livingston and Antoine Carr. He's got them both, so right now he's 100%. But they got those two guys for Dan Roundfield, and that was a steal. for Atlanta. No question.
Well, the way Ralphie's been playing, certainly the last 2 years, he was ineffective in Detroit, and he's not doing much better in Washington.
10-point Atlanta lead. They get it to Bird low. Doesn't get it. Redmond there to tip it in.
Good
Scott
job.
Redmond.
Excellent job by Scott Wedman. Good timing, anticipation.
Ball is fouled on the Celtics as Spud Webb came flashing down. Larry Bird gets the foul. There were 32 seconds left in the third quarter. Second personal on Bird. Here's another look at it.
There's not a great deal you can do about this kid. Really.
No, he's a mighty mighty.
Yeah, I mean, you can't find him early. He's got too much speed. If you
Can't
get
find him
back
'cause you
and
can't see
collapse,
him.
yeah, you can't find him late either, I suppose. Yeah, bless it.
He looks like he's 14 years old. Played for Jim Valvano at North Carolina State and was cut by Detroit in their spring camp right after the draft.
Well, everyone goes by, percentages in this league.
Oh,
You look at a 5'6" kid and say, hey, what are we wasting our time for? Oh, here's. And I'll tell you, so far, he's gotten the job done.
He gets both free throws, and so with 32 seconds left in the third, Atlanta has a 10-point lead.
Not only gotten the job done, but I'm sure he sold a few tickets, and that doesn't hurt.
Dennis Johnson, as the Celtics need some production from their guards in this one, Coos, because can't expect Bird to do it all. And the guards have not been shooting well tonight.
Ainge is still on the schneid. He hasn't scored, and DJ, that was his 6th point. So you're right, they have not been very productive.
13 seconds left in the third quarter. Spud Webb. Let's just watch this little guy and see what he does. He's 5'7", standing on his toes. Gets it off to Concat. No, and after 3, the Celtics have come storming back. They were down by 22 at the half, but after 3, it's only an 8-point deficit. Atlanta 88 and Boston 80.
Not a Hawk Super Fan. Next game with the Hawks face the Milwaukee Bucks this Monday night, January 20th.
We scored 40 points in that quarter, Coos. Wow.
Being the Super Fan. Hawk fans, follow the Hawks to New York, March the 15th, and see the Atlanta play at the Knicks at Madison Square Garden.
Bird's got, what's that, 48? No, we've got 80 points. No, that's right. We scored 32. I'm sorry. 32 to 18, right? 32 to 18, yeah. What did Bird have in that quarter? 17. Yeah. And we got a shot now. Although we may have expended an awful lot of energy to get it down here. I don't know. Yeah, we don't have the third quarters yet. Didn't they used to have people to bring us soda here and stuff? Never did? What am I thinking of? Oh, okay. Did they really have them here? I thought they did. No?
How much noise can this Army soda crowd make for the Hawks?
Well, Coos, in the third quarter, the Celtics certainly showed us the stuff they're made of as they outscored Atlanta 32 to 18 to go from a very bad first half effort to just a great third quarter effort. And cut this thing down to 8 points.
A team with, the kind of pride and character, as we said in the first half, that the Celtics have, is not going to allow themselves to be humiliated for a full ball game. It was bad enough that it happened for most of the first half. They've responded very well. Now it's going to be a pretty good test for their bench.
Yeah.
Because they did expend a lot of energy getting back into the game. Rivers did to Carlisle.
Carlisle did a good defensive job on him.
Let's see if the bench can keep the momentum going.
On the floor for the Celtics, Carlisle, Johnson, Walton, McHale, and Wedman. We'll check Atlanta out in just a second. DJ finds Wedman, got Concac on him. Wedman fires, in and out. McHale there, no. Walton there, yes. Bill Walton tips it in.
Good job, two big guys keeping it alive. McHale, as you pointed out last night, keeping the arms over the head. That helps you so much. That split second that it takes the big man who doesn't do that to get the arms back up into a position to tip, usually you've lost the opportunity for the play. So carry your hands high.
Wilkins is fouled by Scott Wedman. And it is a possession foul. Willis comes in for Atlanta, so let's reset the Hawks for you now. They've got Webb and Rivers at the guards, Koncak at center, Willis and Wilkins are the forwards. In the third quarter, Atlanta's shooting percentage dipped to 53% from 58.5. Nice job by Webb. Walton blocks the shot. Beautiful job by Bill Walton.
Key defensive play there. We might look back on that one.
Outside, DJ. No. Rebound. Doc Rivers. Atlanta fast breaking. Got Wilkins on the wing. Rivers all around.
Obviously a strong move.
I should say.
Wow. Took off at the foul line, floated in above the rim, and jammed at 6'4".
Ball is out of bounds off Atlanta. It'll be Celtics ball with 17 seconds on the shot clock. Here's the play by Bill Walton defensively a moment ago.
Here it is. Little pick and roll. Releases Koncak to the basket. Nice pass by Webb. Walton comes in from behind. Great timing.
Wedman getting it low to McHale, trying to work on Koncak. He does. And now Dennis Johnson and Doc Rivers are going after each other, and Carlisle comes to stand in the way. And Durham, Terry Durham, is giving Rivers some business. Now let's watch that possible confrontation. Second time tonight that DJ has had words with a member of the Atlanta Hawks.
DJ normally a fairly quiet warrior out there.
Strong move, blocked by Walton, picked up by Koncak. 10-point Atlanta lead, 94-84 with just under 10 minutes to go in the game.
Koncak continues to be impressive. Not a great deal of finesse, but works at it. And when you're that big and strong and you're 7 feet, if you're working at it, you're going to accomplish something.
All right, Wedman will put it in play as the ball went out of bounds off Atlanta. The Celtics have 12 seconds on the shot clock. Comes into Bill Walton. Jump hook. No. Loose ball foul against the Celtics. Kevin McHale. That is 5 personal fouls on McHale. Are they going to? Yeah. 5 personal fouls on Kevin McHale. For the Celtics, their second team foul of the fourth quarter.
That obviously is not going to help. Neither is the fact that I just spilled your Coke on your paper is going to help.
As long as you didn't spill it all over my snappy outfit. Doc Rivers takes it inside on Carlisle. Spin move, Rivers. Atlanta's back up by 12, so they have increased their lead here early in the fourth quarter.
He's destabilized, as we said. 3 hoops now to start off the third quarter here, which has somewhat stifled the Celtic momentum.
Gets it low to Dennis Johnson. Celtics with 10 seconds on the shot clock. Wedman fires away and hits. Celtics down by 10. 8:54 left to play in the basketball game. Spud Webb for Atlanta. Robert Parrish getting set to check back in for the Celtics. Webb with DJ on him. Looking low. Gets it low to Wilkins. Now Webb again. This is Kevin Willis. Willis with only 3 on the shot clock. Misses it. McHale the rebound. Good defense that time by the Celtics again. It is 96-86. Atlanta leading it. McHale now with 10 rebounds in the ball game. McHale has it stolen by Spud Webb. The ball is out of bounds off the foot of Spud Webb, and an outstanding defensive play by Dennis Johnson. Here it is. Watch it. Webb with a nice play.
How's that? Little water bug comes in behind. Boy, just strips McHale. Kevin didn't even know. I think he didn't realize it even happened. He probably made his pivot around trying to shoot the ball, and it wasn't there.
Robert Parrish has checked in for Walton. Rainbow jumper goes for the Chief. And it's 96-88 with 8 minutes to play. Here comes Webb, full head of steam. Blocked by Bird. Webb cannot hang on. It's out of bounds. It'll be Boston ball. The Celtics have not been within under 8 points since Atlanta went on a 10-0 run in the first quarter. Right now they trail by 8, and if they can hit here, they'll get it down to 6, and that'll be the closest they will have been since about midway through the first quarter.
This
in from McHale. Pick and roll to Bird.
Webb is there again. Just dropped down. He's such a factor with his quickness. This one's going to go to the wire, I think.
Whitman is in replacing Webb. Danny Ainge is getting set to come in for the Celtics, and he will come in replacing Rick Carlisle. So the Celtics have Ainge and Wedman now at the guards, with Parrish, Walton, and Bird up front. Walton, jump hook. It's good for Bill Walton.
Celtics going inside effectively now.
Timeout Atlanta. Celtics have cut it to 6. 7:44 to go in the ball game. Atlanta 96 and Boston 90. I don't want to lose this because this is how I keep track of runs and stuff. We're okay now, as long as we don't get electrocuted. Yeah. It didn't make sense to me. Unless the ball never came off the rim, but that basket that we thought Walton tipped in, they gave to McHale.
Oh, is that right?
Yeah. It's possible it never left the rim. You know. Hello.
Photographer becomes the foil.
Yeah.
The guy that was in the text around.
Yeah. The 1985 official Celtics yearbook is on sale, an exciting full-color book with action photos, biographies, all the stats. Included this year a Where Are They Now section on past Celtics greats. Order your collector's item by sending $5 to Boston Celtics Yearbook, 150 Causeway Street, Boston, Massachusetts, 02114. So the Celtics are now within 6 of the Atlanta Hawks. The Celtics were down by 22 at halftime. 7:40 to go, and the Celtics have cut it to 6 points. Rivers, Whitman, Willis, Rollins, and Wilkins out there for Atlanta. Dominique. Not that time. Rebound to Wedman. Bad shot. Wedman nearly lost it off his foot, but a bad shot by Wilkins.
Well, now you're talking about perhaps the most experienced veteran team in the league, and the Celtics going against the youngest inexperienced team in the league in Atlanta, which should be an advantage for the Celtics. Also a poor foul shooting team in Atlanta, as we pointed out to begin with, so there will be an advantage at some point for the fouls to become even more aggressive, the Celtics, and foul if they have to and put people in the line.
That is the 5th personal foul on Kevin Willis. The first team foul in Atlanta here in the 4th quarter. Walton wheeling. Try to go on Rollins. Couldn't do it. Gets it back to Ainge. Wedman, 18-footer. Wow. Celtics within 4.
Scott's doing a job. The Celtics generating much more cohesive offense here in the latter part of the second half. For that matter, they've done it throughout the second half.
17 points in the game for Scott Wedman. Rivers forces one. Rebound to Wedman. He's done a great job tonight, too. He's got 17 points. Had a couple of fine defensive plays, and he's been hitting the boards. He also had a tip in.
Very well, absolutely.
Larry Bird.
Atlanta starting to lose the goal.
Boom! Wow! By Robert Parrish. Reverse layup by the Chief. And Atlanta wants a timeout. 6.5 to go in the game, and the Celtics have cut the Atlanta lead to 2 points, 96-94. Take a look at Robert Parrish.
Little pick and roll release. Robert doing a Spud Webb imitation. Alley-oop. Oh, I don't know what to call that shot. I'm sure Robert doesn't either. Beautiful.
Was that a beauty or what? The guy's 7 feet tall. That's the...
It's all over.
Hey, these guys are...
Yeah.
I mean, they are... And they're very excited about what they're doing.
Yeah.
What was... Oh, where's the first half running? think it's here. There was a point where they had a 23-point lead in the second quarter. See if you can find it for me. I think I got the second. Here, here's the second quarter. See if you can find the 23-point lead for me, despite the sody pop.
Well, I got a good show. Who's he going to go with? Johnson and Rivers? Johnson.
Not bad, Chief.
John Contact and Dave Volsky return to the Hawks lineup.
Right after the game, it's courtside with Bill O'Connell. Bill's guest tonight, former Celtic great Dave Cowens, tonight here on Channel 56. Celtics have cut this down to 2. Contact has it stolen by Larry Bird. Bird's third steal of the game.
Beautiful weak side help. We saw Ainge do that a while ago on Concac. I believe that time Bird took a shot at him. Just came over from the weak side along the baseline, timed it so as he caught the ball, he was coming in between, just stripped him beautifully.
Foul call in Atlanta. It's on John Concac. It'll be Atlanta's second team foul of the fourth quarter, the second personal on Concac.
Atlanta now starting to display their inexperience.
All right, Bird inbounds to Robert Parrish, and now Danny Ainge for the Celtics. Nearly loses the basketball, has Eddie Johnson on him. Celtics looking to tie it if they can. Bird pops off this pick. In and out. Parrish turns it up. Robert Parrish. We're tied at 96.
They did it the hard way, for the most part. Inside, Wedman's hot hand from outside, and
Bird on third.
Bird from everywhere.
Dominique. Should be a heck of a game the rest of the way. Concac partially deflected by Bird. Picked off by Parrish. Celtics looking for the lead.
Atlanta becoming completely tentative on offense. They just don't know where to go all of a sudden. They want to go inside to try to pick up the foul, but it's causing them to force the play, and they just look confused.
Ainge to Wedman. He's been the man. 19 points, and the Celtics lead. 98-96. 5 minutes to go in the basketball game. Scott Wedman gives the Celtics their first lead since it was 14-12 Boston.
I'll tell you, an emotional comeback for the Celtics, and that's what's nice. We were questioning, whether they'd have enough left to come back in a second half of 22. They all got involved. They're slapping, giving the high fives, they're encouraging each other. They really want to continue the comeback.
Wilkins has it blocked, and we're going to get a foul on the Celtics, and Wilkins will be at the line. The Celtics right now are just playing ferocious basketball. Take a look at this.
Wilkins again with the individual moves. Good head fake. Gets Bird up and brings Robert over, who just envelops him. Picks up his fourth foul, the third Celtic team foul.
The Hawks have 2 team fouls in this fourth quarter. 4:50 to go. 2 shots for Dominique Wilkins. It is 98-97. The Celtics are leading by 1. Bill Walton will come out, and Kevin McHale comes in for the Celtics.
Good job by Walton. You can hear gets a nice ovation from the
a lot of Celtics fans here.
Partisan fans, but not that partisan.
Danny Ainge over midcourt for the Celtics. Now tied at 98-98. A moment ago they took their lead. Bird in the lane. 33 points for number 33. Celtics lead 100-98. Eddie Johnson to Whitman, and now Johnson again. They're looking for Wilkins. He's their guy. Wilkins all the way, forced it off. Nice job. Nice job by Wilkins. Came right down the middle and kicked it off to Tree Rollins to tie the game at 100.
Looks like he was off balance, but he made the play.
All right, Ainge for the Celtics. Celtics with the 100-100 ball game right now. Bird tried to force it inside, couldn't do it. Ball rolls to the floor, jump ball between Tree Rollins and Larry Bird. Rollins a 7-footer. 7'1" to be exact.
I'll tell you, the fans have had a little about everything tonight.
They sure have.
Exceptional performances from the 2 superstars, Wilkins and Bird, and there it is. Can't quite, looks like a fumble football. It's supposed to be around and stay in one place or go where you think it's going to go.
Won the tip, getting it to Parrish. However, we have A loose ball foul on whom? On Larry Bird, his third. So it'll be Atlanta ball. That's the fourth team foul on the Celtics, the limit. 100 to 100, 4:05 to go in the game. Celtics led 98-96 a moment ago. The Hawks have come back to tie it at 100. The Hawks had a 22-point lead at the half. Dominique puts Atlanta back on top. 31 points for Dominique Wilkins. This one should go to the wire.
Well, it certainly will. No quarter's going to be given now, boy. Both teams are really intense in their defensive effort. Wow.
Kevin McHale, 18-foot jump shot.
Doesn't Kevin know he doesn't have that kind of range?
20 points in the game for McHale. 102 to 102 with 3.5 minutes left. This has been a great game here in the second half.
Kevin said they've done a pretty good job on the inside tonight. I'm going to go out there.
Randy Whitman puts Atlanta back up by 2 with 3:10 left. You get it to McHale. Kevin is double teamed. Gets the ball way up to Parrish, but it went right into the hands of Tree Rollins. Eddie Johnson lost control, but got it down court. Livingston hits. Basket counts, and he's fouled.
It looked accidental, but Johnson, once he got control, was able to get it over to Whitman. Let's take a look. Whitman with a nice play to the trailer. Livingston, watch him. He's going to come into your picture. And he almost loses control of it, too. But in any event, it is 2 points for Atlanta.
And a 4-point lead.
Off a nice defensive play by Rollins on the other end, off the turnover by McHale.
The free throw is good, and Atlanta leads by 5. And now the Celtics want a 20-second timeout. So the Celtics came all the way back from a 23-point deficit. Their biggest deficit of the game was 70 to 47 with 28 seconds left in the first half. The Celtics came back to take the lead here at 98-96, but now Atlanta's come back and they lead by 5 at 107 to 102 with 3 minutes straight up to go in the basketball game. Coos, do you think perhaps the Celtics, in using everything they had to use to get back even and then ahead, do you think they've got anything left now in the last 3 minutes?
I'm not ready to prepare. I'm not prepared to say that yet, because I'll tell you, Casey's used his bench very effectively tonight. But what the negative part about what's just happened is that the momentum just switched. I'm sure you felt it. The Celtics had it for most of the third and fourth quarters, and boy, it just went the other way. And now they're going to have to turn it back around. I'm not sure if they have enough energy or time to do that.
All right, McHale looking for Bird. Atlanta playing good defense. Parrish doubled up. DJ. Now Wedman. Baseline. No. Rebound Parrish. Robert up again. Doesn't get it. Foul called on the Atlanta Hawks.
On Livingston, I believe. At least he's the one that's complaining about it.
That's his fourth personal foul, and Robert Parrish will shoot 2 shots.
I'll tell you what. Atlanta wants to win here. As Robert gets the long rebound off the Wedman miss. Well, it's hard to tell. Moved him out of there with his body, but again, because at this juncture in the game, the officials are going to blow a little quicker. They want to keep control. They realize the emotions of the players, if anything, higher than they've been all game long, so they want to make sure nothing occurs.
All right. It is 107 to 104. 3-point Atlanta lead with 2.5 minutes to play in the ball game. The Celtics a great comeback in the second half of this one. Whitman didn't go in for it. Rollins the rebound, and a big offensive rebound for the Hawks. Very big indeed.
Mike Fratello is up, telling them to take some off the clock before they go to probably...
It's Whitman.
Whitman
misses the shot. Rebound to the hands of Dennis Johnson. Off to Larry Bird, and now McHale. 2 minutes to play. Celtics trail by 3. DJ. Now Bird, they're looking for Parrish. Wedman has had the hot hand. It's good. Scott Wedman. 21 points for Scott Wedman off the bench in this basketball game.
See, they're tapping down. The Celtics are swinging the ball. They're keeping Wedman on the weak side, and the defense just has enough energy to get back to him. This is why a shooter like Wedman becomes more effective as the game progresses.
Dominique Wilkins goes one-on-one with Bird. Misses the tip. Ball slapped around. Scott Wedman has it. A minute and a half to play. Celtics down by 1. All righty. Ahead it comes to Parrish. Turnaround rainbow. It is good. Robert Parrish puts the Celtics up by 1. With a minute and 23 left. And now Atlanta wants a 20-second timeout. That is 6 unanswered points by the Celtics, and they've taken a 1-point lead and won a ball game.
10
a
points
magnificent game
for Parrish here in the last quarter.
Boy,
Have we had some heroes in this one. You know, Atlanta, I'm sure, wants the W, but in terms of what they were trying to do, impress this full house, they've at least gotten a moral victory out of it. Let's hope that they're prepared to settle for it. Here it is. Robert just isolated. They gave him the long pass, so they didn't have an opportunity to trap down on that play. Robert took advantage of it and then got the good roll on the ball, hit the back of the rim, and it just quietly died in the cylinder.
18 points in the game for Parrish. The Celtics front court has really done some serious scoring tonight. Bird 33, Wedman 21, McHale 20, Parrish 18. Eddie Johnson. Celtics lead by 1. Whitman with a minute and 10 left to play in the ball game. Whitman's a good shooter. You're going to watch out for him. They try to alley-oop to Wilkins. He has it blocked. Basket does not go, but he is fouled, and he'll be at the line to shoot 2. Foul is on McHale, and he is fouled out of the ball game. That is the 6th personal foul on Kevin McHale. The Celtics are over the limit. 2 shots for Wilkins. McHale is fouled out.
Well, now the Celtics want to win in regulation, obviously. They don't want it to go overtime with McHale on the bench.
Now they've got Parrish has, let's see, Robert Parrish has 4 personal fouls. Bird has 4 personal fouls as well. And we've got 2 free throws coming now for Dominique Wilkins. Bill Walton will come back in for the Celtics. And he'll replace Kevin McHale.
That'll push Wedman out to the guard position.
Yeah, well, he's been playing guard anyway.
Guard,
yeah. 31 points for Dominique Wilkins as he stands up there. He's averaging 27 points a ball game, 8.5 rebounds a ball game. He had 21 in the first half, has had 10 in the second half, and misses the front end of the 2 shots.
First one he's missed tonight.
One more shot for Dominique Wilkins, born in France. Misses them both. Rebound to Robert Parrish. Wow. A minute and 2 seconds left to play. The Celtics have a 1-point lead. What a magnificent comeback by the Celtics in this one, no matter what happens over the final minute.
There's that split.
Parrish hits Larry Bird with it. 18-footer. Go! Larry Bird! 35 for Bird. Timeout Atlanta, 48 seconds to play. And the Celtics have a 3-point lead with 48 seconds left. And what a comeback. Down by 22 at the half. The Celtics have gone ahead by 3 with 48 seconds left, Goose.
I'll tell you what, I'm sure the team's exhausted because I am.
Oh, whipped.
I'm sure
we haven't
watching
done anything.
at home, it's been an evening of severe exertion. Here it is. Off that pick, Bird slides out because they're concentrating on Johnson inside.
Another look at it here
just
from
gives
the
him
floor.
enough room. See, he is. He sets the pick. Who is it? Wilkins gets caught on top, and that's what frees Bird. Parrish has the option. Dennis uses the double pick and slides inside. He looks low. Preferably, that's his first option. If that doesn't work, Bird slides out. Of course, he goes to Bird for the second one. And he does all he can to catch Bird's man on that pick, and he did that time, delayed him just long enough for Bird to give Bird a few seconds to get the shot off.
35 points in the basketball game for Larry Bird, 21 of them here in the second half. He had 17 in the third quarter. And let's see, Kevin McHale fouled out with 20. Scott Wedman off the bench has contributed 21 points for the Celtics, and Robert Parrish has had 18, 10 of them, Coos, here in the fourth quarter.
Now, that, you know, if it's a win, it's been an exceptional second half of basketball and a complete team effort in terms of everyone contributing something.
And you know what's funny? That's what we said at halftime, that the 22-point deficit was also a team effort. The Celtics had played that poorly, and Atlanta had played that well.
They've turned it completely around, and now, as I say, the experience of both teams figures to continue to give the Celtics the advantage here in the last quarter.
You're looking, it's a little early to look for three-point shooters, but Wilkins is 7 of 32. Eddie Johnson is 4 of 15. Randy Whitman is 3 of 9. They're their 3 3-point guys. Right now, the Celtics lead by 3 with 48 seconds left. Wilkins for the Hawks. Three-pointers. Good. Two ball game. 110 to 110. I didn't think they'd go for a three-pointer that early.
I can't believe that. I wouldn't have thought so either, and he's not a particularly effective three-point shooter.
Parrish up top has Kevin Willis on him. Now Bird for the Celtics. 30 seconds left. Bird fires. No good. Whistle. Foul. Foul on the Atlanta Hawks. Let's see here.
Wilkins.
Dominique Wilkins. Yes. Bird will shoot 2 for the Celtics with 28 seconds to play in the game. Larry Bird will shoot 2. I'm surprised, Coos, that they went to a three-point shot.
I am too. 48 seconds, plenty of time. Take it in. Keep the offense flowing from the free throw line if you don't get the hoop. But, you know, with the hot hand that Wilkins has had tonight, Pillow might have figured, hey, go with our man. He's done it up to now.
Ainge has come in for the Celtics, replacing Wedman, who did a great job, 21 points off the bench. Bird now with 36 points in the ball game, 37 for Larry Bird with 28 seconds left. The Celtics lead by 2. Eddie Johnson for Atlanta. He'll drive. It's good. It's tied up again. 112 to 112. The Celtics call a timeout with 19 seconds to play in the ball game. We're tied at 112 to 112. Now Joe Crawford is going to reset the clock to 20 seconds, at least. The Celtics wanted to go to 22, but it was 21 before they said to ask for the timeout, so it's going to be either 20 or 21, depending on what Crawford was looking for. And we'll wait to see what they put up there. All right, now, Coos. All right, 20 seconds has been put up on the clock. Tied at 112. Obviously, the first option that the Hawks will be defensively looking for the Celtics to go to will be to Larry Bird. So, do you go to Bird or do you go off of that option?
The Celtics can really go to whatever they choose. At this point, given the fatigue factor and the fact that they have watched Atlanta do their thing, they're not going to change strategy, basic defensive strategy at this point. They can pick their offense. What I'm saying is they know if they go inside, down, let's say on the right side, they're going to immediately draw a trap down. That means they kick back the ball back out and swing it around to the weak side if they so choose for the little 15-footer. Or if they want to have Bird pass in, for instance, you know, if they want to have Bird pass in, or I'd say Whitman's man pass in, because Whitman is the slower of the two guards. So force him to trap down if you can. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Because it'll take him more time to trap down and get back in position. Casey talked on top of the show how the man who passes in, they cut him through if he's a guard, clear the area. If they do that, then they replace, let's say Dennis passes in, they replace him with, he's got the Ainge in there?
Yeah, we got Ainge in there.
Got Ainge in there, so he's got his shooters. Really, he can simply take probably what the defense is going to give him, knowing what the defense is going to do. They will tap down, so they got the 15-footer or the quick move inside.
Now Wedman's going to come in for the Celtics.
Well, then now maybe they may go to the swing of the ball on the weak side. They'll put Wedman on the weak side, wait for the tap down, and get it over to Scott, perhaps.
The Atlanta Hawks are playing full court pressure defense. It comes into Dennis Johnson. 17 seconds left.
Plenty of time with 17.
We're tied at 112 to 112. Down to 10 seconds to play in the ball game. There's the time. Top of your screen. 112 to 112 is the score. DJ looking for Bird. Now finds Parrish. Robert, turnaround rainbow. No good. Overtime. Turnaround rainbow by Robert Parrish wouldn't go, and so it's an overtime.
Well, I don't know what they were trying to set up. They had a low triple pick set up. It looked like they were trying to slide Bird across. He was the inside man on a triple. Slide him through the middle. That didn't work. I think it was whatever they were trying to do, they were not able to implement, and Robert simply swung in low and got the ball. And at that point, because he was looking to pass it back out, so Robert wanted to start over. Obviously, there wasn't enough time, and he just took the shot. You know, the bad news is that McHale is fouled out now at the 5-minute overtime. Obviously, that's not going to help the Celtic cause. But, you know, again, Casey has utilized the bench effectively up to now. He's got enough strength there to make up for it.
The Celtics outscored the Atlanta Hawks in the second half of this ball game, 64 to 42. The Celtics trailed at the end of the first quarter, 34-25. Here's the last 7 seconds.
Let's see. Here's Bird sliding over. He never gets inside. Now he wanted it outside. Dennis was still looking in. Finally got it to Robert, but he took a reluctant shot. You know, he was looking.
He was looking to kick it back out.
Yeah, to kick
Dennis
it back
told him
out.
to shoot it.
So, yeah, Dennis knew there wasn't enough time. He told him to shoot it, and I think that's what interrupted Robert's tempo.
The Celtics trailed 34-25 at the end of the first quarter. The Hawks outscored them 36-23 in the second quarter to lead by 22 points at the half, 70-48. In the third quarter, sparked by Larry Bird's 17 points and great defensive work, the Celtics outscored Atlanta 32-18. In the fourth quarter, the Celtics outscored Atlanta 32-24. And so after regulation, it's 112-112. And we have to look back, Coos, at those 2 missed free throws by Dominique Wilkins with about 2.5 minutes left to go in the game. Certainly a key factor for the Celtics.
Yeah, it was a key factor coming at that point. Of course, Bird, the best free throw shooter in the league, missed 2 earlier also. So, you know, those things kind of even out. As a matter of fact, Atlanta, given the fact that they are such a weak free throw shooting team, up to now has shot very well from the free throw line.
Yeah, they have. Danny Ainge is not scoring in the ball game. He's in there to start the overtime. It's controlled by the Celtics, who have Ainge, Johnson, Bird, Walton, and Parrish. The Celtics, by the way, are 1 win and 2 losses in 3 overtime games this season. Bird, 20-footer. No. Rebound, Kevin Willis. Atlanta has Johnson, Whitman, Wilkins, Willis, and Rollins out there. Eddie Johnson. Now Randy Whitman. They get it into Kevin Willis. Swinging it back to Dominique. Again, they go low to Willis. And Atlanta leads by 2.
Good ball movement on the part of Atlanta that time, and they got finally what they were looking for. They had established a mismatch, made a half a dozen passes, finally got it to Willis with Ainge.
Robert Parrish ties it up, 114 apiece.
That's where you're going to see the Celtics going now for the next 4 minutes, is inside to Walton or Parrish.
Tied at 114, 4 minutes to play in the ball game. We're in the overtime, the first overtime. All right, Eddie Johnson. Wilkins jump shot. No. Rebound. Loose. Walton has it. Danny Ainge for the Celtics. Tied at 114 apiece. Bird gets it to Parrish. Robert wheels. Up fakes. And hit. Wonderful. Robert Parrish with 22 points in the ball game. 14 of them in the second half. Celtics for the ball game shot 51% in regulation. The Hawks shot 52%. Celtics and Hawks both missed 6 free throws in the ball game in the regulation time. Eddie Johnson from outside ties it. 116-116. 3 minutes and 15 seconds to play in overtime. Is there any advantage that either club might have in overtime, Coos, based on experience, based on being tired and everything? The way the Celtics had to come back?
The Celtics have certainly the experience advantage.
Parrish again. Walton follows.
Beautiful.
But the question the way I'm trying to play that question to you is the Celtics being an older ball club and in the overtime and all the work they've had to do in the second half.
Well, you know, they're on such an emotional high. And it's not old like, you know, decrepit on stretches. So I think they're going to respond to it. I think the experience factor is going to make the difference.
Parrish came up with a loose ball. He's been spectacular in the second half. Dennis Johnson puts it in, and the Celtics lead by 4 with 2.5 minutes to play. And Atlanta wants a timeout. In overtime, 2.5 left. It's the Celtics 120 and the Hawks 116. And I tell you, I am whipped. I'm taking off my headset for a minute, Louis. Well, Dennis Johnson, Coos, on that last hoop, certainly took the bull by the horns.
I'll tell you, he laid, again, a lot of these moves and fakes become more effective, as I say, as the game progresses. The fatigue factor starts to play a role. The defense gets a little more over-anxious. They react to everything that you do. He just got to the top of the key, and he was down in the crowd. He stood up as if he were going to look to pass the ball off, and that little change of pace got the defense to stand up. Blew by him again. That's the advantage the man with the ball, the offensive player, has. He knows, what he's going to do. The defensive man is, of course, guessing. And at this stage of the game, those moves become more effective, as I say.
All righty. On the floor for the Celtics, Johnson, Ainge, Walton, Parrish, and Bird. McHale is fouled out. For Atlanta, Doc Rivers, Whitman, Willis, Rollins, and Dominique Wilkins, the man with the basketball right now. The Celtics lead by 4 points with 2:20 to go in the overtime. It was 112-112 at the end of regulation. Good defense by Walton. Here's Tree Rollins. Jump hook. Ball is kicked in.
Oh, wow. Willis.
By Kevin Willis. He's big and tough and strong.
Rollins just threw it up there without any idea where it was going to go. Willis takes him off the hook with a good, strong offensive rebound.
Bird starts to go on Wilkins. Takes it through. Gets it to DJ. 20-footer. No. Rebound to Doc Rivers, and the Hawks can tie it with 1:50 to play in overtime. Doc Rivers with it for Atlanta. He had sat out quite a bit of that fourth quarter.
Looks like he wants to isolate Wilkins on that left side.
There's Dominique. Rebound to Bill Walton, tipped into the hands of Robert Parrish. They're all over Parrish, but he finally gets the ball to Bill Walton, who gets it to Danny Ainge. They better get it over midcourt quickly. Now he does.
Spread out their people. That's the thing to do when the defense gets anxious, starts trapping everywhere. Spread them out. Make them work.
Larry Bird fires. Does not hit. Rebound to Dominique. Here come the Hawks looking to tie with 1:10 left in overtime.
I'll tell you what, for the first time tonight, there's strong evidence of fatigue on the part of both teams. You notice that?
Yep. The shots are coming up a little short. Gets it to Whitman. Whitman baseline. Now Tree Rollins on the shot clock. 6 seconds. Rollins misses. Ainge the rebound.
He didn't want that one.
Celtics leading by 2 with 48 seconds to play in the game.
He was afraid to pull the trigger. They had run out of options, and he ended up 15 feet away with the ball. Big guy just didn't want to shoot it, and he never released it.
All right, Larry Bird. Now to Dennis Johnson. On the shot clock, 8 seconds. DJ posts up. Fires, and it was fouled. Smart move by Dennis Johnson.
Absolutely.
He knew when he had the double team he was going to get fouled.
Absolutely, and if it were Rollins, let's see.
I think
there it is.
Rivers.
See, he waits, bides his time, waits for the big guy to get over there. Well, they called Rivers, but
they give it to Rollins.
Did they?
Now. Yep.
Well, that'll be Rollins' fifth.
2 free throws for Dennis Johnson with 32 seconds left to play in overtime. The Celtics were down 22 points at halftime, 70-48. And they came all the way back to tie it 112-112 at the end of regulation. Now lead by 2 with 32 seconds left in OT. They now lead by 3. 9 points for Dennis Johnson. 1 more for DJ.
And again, the last 2 plays by DJ, a good reflection of, that experience factor. Can't compensate for having been in the finals of the playoffs a few times.
This is the second one, so the Celtics have a 3-point lead with 29 seconds to go. Doc Rivers for Atlanta to Randy Whitman. Now back to Rivers. Ainge all over him tough. Ball slapped loose, and a foul is called on Danny Ainge. That is the first foul in the overtime against the Celtics. First foul, so it's a possession foul. Atlanta wants a timeout with 20 seconds left in the overtime session. 20 seconds left in overtime. It is the Celtics 121 and Atlanta 118. Who got the basket that made it 118 to 116? Was it Parrish? No, that was the go-ahead move. If they, yeah, that could be the go-ahead to slay move. Oh, no, they got that. Gil Santos and Bob Cousy back here at the Omni in Atlanta, where the Celtics lead by 3, 121 to 118. A foul by Danny Ainge has given the Atlanta Hawks possession of the ball with those 20 seconds to go. And their three-point shooters again are Dominique Wilkins, who is now 8 for 33 in three-point range, Eddie Johnson, 4 of 15, and Randy Whitman, 3 of 9. So they're their top three-point shooters. And I would suspect that that's what Atlanta's going to go through this time with only 20 seconds.
Yeah, if they went forward with 48, the chances are that they will look for it. I'll tell you what, the Celtics have still 2 fouls to waste, which becomes quite an advantage at this point. I think I would take advantage of that. I think I would foul. Casey has done that in the past. I think I would foul and or at least put extreme pressure on the ball. You know, go for the ball as aggressively as you can.
All 3 three-point shooters are out there for Atlanta.
Yeah, just don't give them the opportunity to get it up.
Rivers looking to get it inbounds, does to Eddie Johnson. He is fouled by Danny Ainge, and he's doing exactly as you said, Coos.
Well, see, that's not what I had in mind.
Wait a minute.
Take a good shot at the ball.
That's going to be a shooting foul.
Why?
That's the... Now they give, okay, inside the final
second
minute.
in the last 2 minutes.
2 minutes.
I'm sorry,
right.
I take all that back. Absolutely.
Sure.
They had 2 to waste, but it wasn't. They had fouled. They had picked up the first one in the first 2. Yeah, absolutely.
All right, with 18 seconds to go, 2 free throws coming for Eddie Johnson, who is a 73.5% foul shooter.
Now that was the strategy. You know, let him make 2. Bird is giving him a little verbiage, by the way.
John Battle, has checked into the game for Atlanta. Who, to Eddie Johnson?
Yeah.
He gets the second one, so it's a 2-point game, and now the Celtics want a timeout with 18 seconds left. It is 121 to 119. A Boston timeout with 18 seconds to go.
Case knew they were going to be in bonus. It was the second one, so that sent him to the line. He fouled intentionally, hoping to give away 1 or none, but 1 or 2, and still have the ball with 1-point lead at 2. And now, of course, it's a matter of spreading out the offense, keeping the ball in the hands of your better foul shooters, and wait for the foul. Atlanta's not going to be able to wait too long. They got to make a good try at the ball. If they don't get it the first time, they've got to foul.
Looking at the Celtics individual scoring, 37 for Larry Bird, 22 for Robert Parrish, 21 for Scott Wedman, 20 for Kevin McHale, 10 for Bill Walton, 9 for Dennis Johnson, 2 for Jerry Seestein. Danny Ainge has not scored in the whole ball game for the Celtics. And neither Carlisle, Third Kill, nor Kite scored when they played in the first half. But it's been a magnificent game and a great comeback for the Celtics here in the second half when they were down 22 at halftime.
Ainge, however, did play a much better floor game in the second half.
Yeah.
First half, as I say, the entire team did not do much that was constructive in nature. But the second half, that's been turned around, and despite the fact, as I say, that Ainge didn't participate in the scoring, why he was a factor in defensive ways and coming up with some steals. Offensively, God, they did go inside effectively. Wedman and Bird complemented the inside game by just peppering the basket from the outside, and Robert had an exceptional last quarter to keep the momentum alive and get them into the overtime. So they've all taken a shot at it. It's going to be a very emotional and traumatic team victory if they come out of here with a W, and at the moment it appears that they will.
All right, Jerry Seestein is into the ball game for the Celtics, replacing Bill Walton. So the Celtics have essentially a 3-guard offense, or 4. Now Bird looks and calls timeout because he had no one to pass the ball to. As he was looking around, looking over the floor, all of the Celtics were covered. I think he was afraid of the 5 seconds and turned the ball over, so he called timeout. Wise move.
Either that, or I'm not sure.
Oh, he saw something.
Yeah, he either saw something, or perhaps the idea was to, set up and look at the Atlanta alignment, see basically where, and at this point you can probably tell where the traps are going to come from. We've talked about how difficult it is to get it in bounds, even with a passer like Bird, without being able to use that back court. Generally, what you want to do is go to your speed, bring your speed to the ball, flash him to the ball, maybe a high pick and bring an Ainge type to the ball, and then go to the ground. Don't throw the pass in the air if you can avoid it. Go to the ground, makes it a little more difficult to deflect. And as I say, short pass, go to your speed man with it, and then anticipate the foul quickly, because that's, I'm sure, what they're going to get.
Well, the Celtics have of all of the people they could have in the ball game at the various positions, a good foul shooting unit out there. Bird, of course, leads the league at 92, now almost 93%. Ainge is second at 91%. Parrish is a 73% foul shooter. Dennis Johnson, 82.5%. And Jerry Seasteen, 96, almost 97. So they've got their best foul shooters out there. The lowest percentage is Parrish at 73, and he's had such a terrific second half that I would be reluctant to want to foul him.
Well, this again is the advantage of not only the experienced team, but the experienced good team, or great team. They have so many options really to go to in a situation like that. Casey puts Seasting in, so he's gone to his 3 guards.
Now, wait a minute. He's going to bring Walton in now.
Let's see who he brings him in for. Rabbit.
Walton goes in. No, Seasting.
Seasting. Okay, well, then I would say look for Ainge or DJ for the release. I would doubt whether he'll want to go to either one of his big guys with it.
All right, Larry Bird will put it in play for the Celtics. Eddie Johnson is on Bird. Now we're set to go. 18 seconds left in the overtime. The Celtics lead by 2. They get it to Bird. And Bird is fouled. Now, that's what they wanted to do, was get it to Bird and have him be the guy that gets fouled.
Well, either Bird or Ainge.
Yeah.
And, both equally good free throw shooters, and that's exactly whose hands they kept it in.
On the floor for the Atlanta Hawks, 3 guards, John Battle, Doc Rivers, and Eddie Johnson, along with the big people up front, Dominique Wilkins and Kevin Willis.
Okay, 2 will put it away. What's your first one?
Makes it 122 to 119. The Celtics by 3. Tree Rollins will come in for Atlanta. He replaces John Battle. One more free throw for Larry Bird. He is looking for his 39th point of the game. He had 17 to spark the Celtics comeback in the third quarter. 39 for Bird, and the Celtics lead by 4. And now Atlanta wants a timeout with 13 seconds left. So, since there are no 4-point shots, mon ami, the Hawks undoubtedly will go. What do you think? They'll go for the 3 right away, or will they go inside for 2?
I think they'll take it inside and try to create contact. And Casey is telling all of his players, whoever is guarding the ball, when the penetration starts, run to the locker room. Don't get near the man with the ball. We want no heroes. We want no rejected shots. We don't want anything fancy. Just get away from them, let them go in and lay the ball up, get the 2 points, and then go from there, I would think. I'd be surprised if they go for the quick 3, because if they give you the quick 2, you still got to come up with the steal. Whether you're down by 1 or 2, you still have to come up with the steal or get another opportunity at it. So why not go for the quick 2? At least get yourself back in to the game in terms of being in position. Yeah, So I would opt for the they say get the quick layup, and then take it from there. And then obviously, as soon as you score, stay down court. Full court pressure, trap the ball, foul again, and repeat the process we just saw. Try to deny Bird and Ainge as much as you can. Keep the ball out of their hands if you have a choice. They'd much rather foul a Walton or a Parrish at this point. But again, you don't have the luxury of that choice, because the Celtics are going to do everything possible to keep it in the hands of their better free throw shooters, as they just did here at half court.
All right, for the Celtics, we have Ainge, Johnson, Bird, Parrish, and Walton. For the Hawks, Johnson, Rivers, Whitman, Kevin Willis, and Dominique Wilkins.
Well, I would think Rivers or Johnson will get it in there the quickest, although Rivers is taking it out of bounds.
All right, 13 seconds to go in overtime. The Celtics lead by 4 points. They trailed by 22 at the half, and it's been a spectacular second half of play. Rivers looking to get it in bounds. Does to Dominique Wilkins. They let him go.
Oh, wow.
And Bird got hit right in the head.
Would you believe that? They didn't run to the locker room.
That is the 5th on Larry Bird, and Wilkins will shoot 2. Look at it again.
Get away from him. See Bird moving in? Get away from him. Give him the 2. If that ball goes in.
Yeah, it's a 3-point play, and
wow.
Now you could have a problem. Right, Kevin Willis is out for Atlanta, and John Battle is back in. So the Hawks have now they've got a 5-guard lineup out there, really.
Well, he's got to come up with a steal.
Got 5 guards out there.
Because Wilkins got to make the 2 first.
Dominique gets the first one. It's 123 to 120 with 11 seconds to play. One more free throw for Dominique Wilkins. And they are within a pair. at 123 to 121. Bird is fouled by Eddie Johnson with 8 seconds to go. And Bird will go down the other end to take 2 shots. Johnson and Bird chatting with each other as they come up the floor.
Well, Bird laid a little verbiage on Eddie Johnson a while ago when he was on the line. I don't know if he caused him to miss one, but Johnson missed one. I'm sure Johnson was reciprocating a little bit.
All right, Bird now has 39 points as he goes up there. I don't think Atlanta has any timeouts left. And I'm not sure the Celtics have any timeouts left either.
They allowed 7 for the game, but only 4 in the last quarter. And I believe it's only 3 in the last 2 minutes. So I'm not sure that they...
I'm going to have our stat man check on it.
What do you'll see, you allowed 2 in the overtime, I believe. And yes, I'm sure they've used those. 40 points for Bird now.
We have 1 timeout left. The Celtics have 1 left. The Hawks have none. 40 points for Larry Bird. 41 points for Larry Bird. A 4-point lead with 8 seconds left. Atlanta really not a lot they can do all the way through. Johnson is fouled with 3 seconds to go, and Eddie Johnson will be at the line to shoot. Foul is called on Bill Walton. So Bird's 2 free throws with 8 seconds left, giving the Celtics a 125 to 121 lead. And now Eddie Johnson will shoot 2 for Atlanta with 3 seconds to go. What we were talking about before the game, Kuz, about Atlanta looking to please their fans who were turning out for a sold-out in a sold-out fashion. This team playing so well over the last month and a half. They've certainly given them a show.
They not only pleased theirs, they've pleased ours as well. It's been an exceptionally entertaining evening.
The thing was that Atlanta did manage to blow a 22-point halftime lead. He intentionally misses that one. Robert Parrish gets the rebound to Larry Bird. Ball game. Celtics win it by 3.
What a win.
A great win for the Celtics here at the Omni in Atlanta tonight. And they're slapping high fives as they go off the floor. A marvelous overtime victory. The final score here from the Omni in Atlanta, Georgia. The Celtics 125 and the Atlanta Hawks 122.